everyone, and welcome to the 56th episode of Slime Time Sidequest, an official Dragon's Den podcast. This is your host, Platy M3.
And this is Yangus, the legendary bandit. You know what, Platy? Going through that list of IGN's top 100 games a couple years ago was pretty fun.
Oh, God, that was exhausting, dude. I mean, I much preferred when we just talked about the Famitsu Perfect 27.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. It was a tighter show, and I feel like we know those games better. But I want to talk about more games.
Oh, do we have to do 100?
What? No. But we are going to be doing 20-something.
Well, okay, well, 20-something sounds good, but I'm not doing over 90.
Well, I won't do less than 40.
80?
50!
70, tops, final offer.
Nope, sorry, no less than 60, and I mean it.
Excuse me, guys.
Stay out of this, Blue. Platy and I are fighting this out to the end here.
Yes, and the script reads like a turn-based battle, so you'd better stay clear of any friendly fire.
That's the thing, you're almost there. I mean, for one, every suggestion that you have given has fit the other person's requirements, but I also just pulled up this list of about 65 PS2 RPGs.
65?
SIXTY ...
I mean, that is less than 70.
True, and it is more than 60.
Holy crap, and they're all RPGs. Ooh, let's do this.
All right. Sounds like a great compromise. I like this idea, as long as Yangus doesn't spell anything else out.
I'm down for it. Let's go.
Hold up. Now that I think about it, were there even 65 RPGs on the PS2?
Yeah, well, I guess we're about to find out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so tiny bit of history here. First off, okay, before we get into the list tonight, let's have everybody talk a minute or so. But each of us tell us about kind of our experience with the PS2 and what games we bought for it. So, Platy, you go first.
All right, I got my PS2 about a year before Dragon Quest VIII came out. I want to say I got it right around when the demo dropped, although that probably wasn't a full year early. But Christmas 2004, I got it. Dragon Quest VIII was out November 2005. I got the slim version, and I remember for Christmas immediately getting this Logitech cordless controller. That thing was awesome. It was my first console with a cordless controller. Never really touched the PS1. I think I only had like 3 or 4 total games for it. But I've been doing Game Boy Advance and just emulating for years, trying to catch up since I never did much in the Super Nintendo or PS1 era. So switching to getting the PS2 immediately, like the graphics were like, whoa, this is a big difference. Love it. And I played that quite a bit for years.
All right, I'll go next then. So I didn't get a PS2 until my senior year of high school, and that was just to play Dragon Quest VIII. Borrowed one from a friend, then eventually I bought my own. Eventually I went back and played some other PS1 games and some PS2 games on it. Stuff like Final Fantasy IX, for instance, and a few others like the old Spyro games and stuff. But with the PS2 specifically, since later in my senior year of high school, that's when I started getting into Shin Megami Tensei. I started collecting all of the... hold on a second. I started collecting all of the Atlas games that I could get, and I have pretty much all of their published games, whether it was them specifically or like ones that they just helped publish outside of Japan. But yeah, that's all I got for that. Who's next?
I'll go next. So my brother actually got our first PlayStation 2 as a hand-me-down from our uncle for his birthday in, I think it was 2008 was when we got that. And so he gave us the whole system. It was not a slim model, but he had a bunch of games for it that were mostly like the sports games and the shooting games, which now, since I am almost exclusively an RPG girl, a lot of those have stayed in their cases for a very long time. But at that point, we went out and just decided to pick up a bunch of extra games for it, and we found Dragon Quest VIII and Dark Cloud in the bargain bin at GameStop. So Dragon Quest VIII was the best $8 that we've ever spent, and sort of the rest is history. It was our first main console. Like, everything we had done up until that point was PC, and I think I can't remember if this was before or after I got my first Nintendo DS. So this was kind of like the dawn of Gamer Blue. But yeah, still the best system. I think we still have both that original PS2 and the slim version that we eventually got later, because the original one it wasn't able to play the discs with the blue back on them. So we had to get a slim model of the PlayStation 2 to play those games. So we had 2 for a while. I think we still have 2. They're probably in my basement.
I did sell mine 4 or 5 years ago. I hadn't played it in probably 5 years, 6 years. I think I sold it right before COVID, or maybe a year before COVID, because I remember then during COVID we got a Wii because I'd sold the Wiis too, and right before COVID, I want to say like weeks before, we'd picked up a Wii for the kids. I was like, damn it, I just sold one last year, so it was right around then. All right, well, that's all our stories about getting the PS2.
We skipped Pendy.
Pendy, oh, you know what, Pendy? I had been reading yours while Blue Star talked, so in my head you went. I've already heard your story.
Sorry,
in my head. That's all right.
That's my bad for not writing anything down.
No, that's fine.
I was,
all right, Pendy, your story.
No, I was talking to you telepathically. That's my bad.
You were, yeah.
I said it out loud.
I read it in your voice, so I mean, I've already heard it, but I guess for the benefit of everybody else, go right ahead.
Mm-hmm. So the PlayStation 2 was one of the few systems I bought pretty early in its lifetime. I got mine around 2001, and initially I bought The Bouncer, a fun Square Enix brawler, and Star Wars Starfighter, a fun Starfighter game where you take on various Star Wars spacecraft to defend Naboo. So that was how I got into the PlayStation 2. So well before Dragon Quest VIII came out, I had some fun playing some of the early games on the system. It was pretty cool.
Nice. All right, now we've all done it. So we're gonna go. As Blue said, we got a list of 65 games tonight. Although we already realized that one of the games is a little illegal. We'll get to that. But we this time just randomly. Because we've done with the Famitsu 27, the IGN's Top 100, whatever. This time we're going over
Top
to
100 NES for that one.
Yeah. That's right, the NES it was. And how many of those games, Pendy, did we have no freaking clue what they even were?
And that was such an awful list to begin with.
I think number 60 through 100 was quite interesting.
Yeah, especially since they put Ice Climber so high. What the hell?
It's a weird list.
It was.
Well, prepare for a weirder. Well, it's probably not weirder. Actually, there's 66 games on here. Ranker does say the 65 top PlayStation, or does the 65 plus best
65
PS2 RPGs.
Plus.
65
correct.
plus. There's 66. Good job for them with their marketing on that plus one. But we'll have the link in the show notes of Rankers, and you know what? You can go on there and vote and change this list, because I think, Pendy, you said that one moved, or it mentioned that one of them has moved recently or something.
Yeah, a couple, yeah.
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, everybody go on there and bump Dragon Quest 8 up.
I'm going to downvote this first one right now just because I can. Bam!
Well,
I already did that too.
66 people agree. Downvote.
Woohoo! So we're going to start at the bottom, as we, I think, have done most of the times, and go up. So the bottom is the bottom. I'm sure there's a lot of these we got nothing to say about. But we'll go get started here. I'll start us off with number 66 on the list. 2-1 people agree with this one being a thumbs down game. Unlimited Saga. Anybody ever play Unlimited Saga?
I have not. Saga games are just not my thing. I remember trying to play one of the early ones and thinking, oh God, never again. So I've stayed away from that series.
So wait,
and I've heard this is not the best of the Saga games either.
This is the same Saga series that Yangus plays a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You ever played Unlimited Saga, Yangus?
No, copies are a little too hard to get right now. They're a little on the expensive side, so I've kind of avoided doing that. But I've heard from many people that the gameplay, it's like a board game-esque sort of thing instead of just being more like a traditional RPG. So it's a bit of a mixed bag for how they handled it too. But from what I've read, they also were really limited on development time and cost. So unfortunately, they had to kind of do what they could. But
no.
Even
obviously, Yangus, you read that wrong. It's called Unlimited Saga. They had Unlimited.
Oh yeah, but yeah, they it's kind of one of the most agreed upon games as being one of the weakest ones in the entire series.
Yeah,
they have teased that they might do like a proper remake of it to one to fix some of the issues in it, and try and address some of the story beats that they weren't able to properly implement, which is a very common thing with the Saga series when you read into the whole series as a whole. So that all being said, though, it's got some pretty good music to it. It's I always forget his name, but it's the composer for Final Fantasy 13. He's done a lot of other Square Enix games as well. It's like Masa. Oh gosh, I gotta look this up.
It's there in the Hamauzu.
Yeah, he's kind of got a different style, but the music in that game is pretty good. So, and from what I've played of Romancing Saga Universe, a lot of the characters from that game do have one, they got a good design, and two, they do have some interesting stories to it. But it's just it's a hard game to get through from everybody I've heard. So I hope if they do a remake of it, they'll make it a bit more like some of the other Saga games with how it plays out and everything.
All right, I've heard the new one that just came out is pretty good. I've got Saga friends that are very happy with it so far. So
yeah.
All right, moving up the list. Ark the Lad, End of Darkness, number 65. I've heard of the Ark the Lads, but I know there's a few of them. This one specifically, I got nothing on.
Yeah, this is a series that I really want to get into, just haven't yet. I don't know if any of you have talked with Liam about it, but Liam loves this series to death. I played a little bit of the first game, and I really liked what I saw. I think it's a little bit of like turn-based tactical role-playing with some exploring and whatnot, I think is what most of the games are like. And this is, I think, the last one in the series. I don't know if it's any good because it's so far down on this list, but I know the other ones on the PS1 a lot of them are excellent. So it's just something I really need to get into in the future. One of these days.
Well, yeah, maybe play the PS1s, not these.
Right.
It's the second worst game ever.
On the PS2, that is also
on
an
the
RPG.
PS2 in RPGs on Ranker.com. All the disclaimers there.
Mm-hmm.
The next one has a really simple title that I'm laughing about for some reason. It might be because I am over halfway through a bottle of gun.
Pew, pew, gun.
Good old gun.
Gun.
I've never heard of this.
I've never heard of it either.
Me neither.
I looking at the cover, I believe I remember seeing like a poster in GameStop, but that's the most I could say about it. So apparently, let's see, the game has sold over 1.4 million units in the U.S. as of October 2008. It was well received by game critics and won numerous awards, including GameSpy's Xbox 360 Action Game of the Year.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
If it was good on the Xbox, that makes
Xbox Action Game. So
Bang bang skeet skeet.
maybe not so good on PlayStation RPG list.
Or, some of these that I briefly looked at this list, and some of these don't look like they're really RPGs, or maybe they're like on the precipice of maybe being an action RPG, but not really. So maybe it's more of an action game, and that's why everyone's like, meh.
All right, well, this next one, speaking of reading the descriptions on some of these, holy crap. Number 63, Forgotten Realms Demon Stone. It's a video game that was released in 2004, set in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting for Dungeons & Dragons. Story written by R.A. Salvatore and features the voices of Patrick Stewart.
What? I've never heard of this as well.
Nope. So, Forgotten Realms Demon Stone, it does say the gameplay doesn't really fit with D&D, so...
No.
A D&D campaign game that doesn't really fit that. I don't think any of us have unless we've forgotten about it, Forgotten Realms, Demon Stone, anything? No? Then we'll speed through the list.
I've not past this stone.
All right, so, oh boy. Next one, number 62, Eternal Poison.
Oh, metal.
That one I've heard of, but mainly because of the, I think there was a remaster that came out on the Switch, the NIS publisher.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I could be misremembering. It could be something else entirely, but that name does ring a bell.
Yeah,
I mean, it is developed by Atlas, so that makes sense you would know it.
And Atlas here, it's a turn-based tactical role-playing game where you're collecting demons called Majin. Looks like they took the word Jin and put an M-A on there.
Magic Jin. Magin.
Magic Jin. Oh, Magin. There you go. I imagine how that's done.
I do love me some turn-based tactical role-playing games, but I just haven't gone around to try this one. But I have heard of it as well.
All right. It's kind of low on the list. You may want to stick with something else.
Which number was this one?
Like,
True.
That was 62. 62.
Let me pull up the full list here. I want to take a look at this one.
Penny may want to try one that has been voted way much higher, like at number 61, Gladius, a tactical role-playing game, a LucasArts one.
I've never heard of this one.
There's like no description for this game at all.
It is literally the one sentence there. Everybody else has got at least 2 to 3 or a paragraph. Like whoever added this one to the list didn't really sell it.
It doesn't say turn-based either, so I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that Eternal Poison game. Now I remember this one. Looking at that, yeah, this was one that was just published by Atlas. They in the West because the main developer was Flight Plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go. But I do remember that one. And yeah, no, this one seems like a little bit of a stretch. This is Gladius.
Gladius. Well, we'll be Gladius to pass it on by. And moving up to number 60, we've got Shining Tears.
Oh, don't cry, Platy.
That's okay. I'll be more
I didn't know this
Platy.
was supposed to be part of the Shining Force series. That's interesting.
Yeah, this one pissed me off because I was like, ooh, Shining Force game. And it was like, no, action RPG. Screw you. So I was disappointed.
Yes, right there. It does say it's an action role-playing game.
Yeah, they switched. This one, I think this is when they switched from turn-based to action. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, all those Shining games that have been released through the years recently, right?
Yeah.
No? Did this kill it?
No, I don't know.
Shining Wind was released in 2007.
There you go. Yeah, I know there's at least one more.
The Tears Came the Wind, with return appearances by all the main characters, Shining Tears. All right, let's get out of the 60s here. Start telling tales.
Ooh.
Tales!
Number 59, Tales of Rebirth.
So I'm guessing you're expecting me to be able to comment on this one. And unfortunately, I did not get into the Tales series until the PlayStation 3 was out. And so I haven't really played a lot of the old. I know, I'm working on it. I haven't played a lot of the titles that are here on the PlayStation 2, except for some of the ones that got re-released. So I have not played this one. However, I mean, they've all been good in their own right. So that I have played since then, and I know that a lot of fans prefer the older style to the games as well. So I'd say that there's a good chance that this is a good one too. I just haven't played it. I have a long list to get through before that. My brother and I recently played Tales of Fantasia for the PlayStation 1. We did it on an emulator with a translation patch because it was never released in the United States. But that was the very first game in the series, and we liked that one a lot. So
nice. This one, Tales of Rebirth, had a PSP port too. So interesting. It's I don't see any gameplay pictures here, but it says the game was developed by the 2D Tales development unit. So I wonder if this is still more sprite-based. So, all right, moving up. In number 58, we have Stella Deuce.
Deus?
The Gate.
Stella Deus.
The Gate. Stella Deus. There we go. That's why we have blue here. It's the Gate of Eternity, either way. Tactical role-playing game with highly stylized artwork and animated cutscenes.
I own this
by
game.
Atlas.
I own this game, but I haven't played it yet. I heard this. I could be wrong, but I heard this is actually pretty difficult too, as far as these games go.
Oh yeah, this is another one of their published ones. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It loosely translates to Star God.
Oh, that would be a gate to eternity if you're a Star God.
A JRPG where you got to fight God? Never.
All right, moving up. We got something a little bit more recognizable now. Number 57.
All right, this is an
Marvel
action RPG.
Ultimate
What the
Alliance.
Hey, this
Fake
is an
news.
RPG. This is an RPG list, not
Fake
a
news.
turn-based RPG list. So this counts. Your characters level up, number go up.
Okay, all right.
Mm,
Jesus.
I'm with
So
Yangus.
this came out on PSP and Wii and PlayStation 3 and Xbox and 360. Oh my gosh, it was out on everything.
Oh, it's Marvel. It's a Marvel game, of course.
Yeah.
It's Marvel, baby.
Wonder why it's ranked so low here.
I played the crap out of it because it was one of the few 4-player games that we had. So I played with my brother and my best friend and her younger brother. And so we were all just running around fighting everything. There's a trivia game in the middle that I remember very fondly, which is when most of my comic book knowledge comes from, is from answering those questions and getting them wrong and then getting them right the next time they come around.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
But yeah, I remember having a lot of fun, and there was nothing like super special about it, but it was a fun beat 'em up kind of dungeon crawler type experience that I did with my friends.
Spider-Man
Okay.
levels up.
Yes! Although I was very partial to Storm as a playable character.
Should watch X-Men.
I've heard
97.
good things about these Ultimate Alliance games.
They might be fun for you to play with your boys.
What was there was a third one that came out like a couple years ago, Marvel something 3.
Ultimate Alliance 3?
It is on the Switch.
Was that it?
That's possible.
Yeah, it was on the
know-
Switch.
The Black Order? Yep, we played through that. Yep,
Yeah,
the kids
because
and I
that
played
one had
through
the DLC that came out that featured Fantastic Four, X-Men, and something else. I know it was a pretty big deal when they were like, "Oh, there's going to be Fantastic Four DLC," because that was still the time when what was it? Fox was still like really in control of the IP, even though Disney had bought Fox and all that as a whole thing.
Yeah. No, the two kids and I did play through Ultimate Alliance 3. They still know some of the like Sandman and whatever they pretty much know from this game.
Yeah, the second
Black Order one.
The second one I want to say is a little bit more polished than the first, but for
That's what I've always heard was really good. Yeah, that second
for
one.
something simple and polished enough, just for something kind of fun and laid back, it's definitely a good thing to come to.
Again, I wonder why it's so low. Well,
because there are better RPGs on this list.
You know what? It did get a lot more votes than it's got 100 more votes than the couple ones we talked about previous. It's even got like 75 more than the next one up. As we move to number 56, we've got X-Men Legends.
Magneto's looking fucking pissed on that cover.
Yeah,
he really is, man.
He's always angry. Isn't that his whole deal?
That might be a comic book sin. I don't actually know.
No, he's always pissed off at humanity. So yeah, he's almost always grumpy.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. It's even got like good Metacritic scores, aggregate scores on other ones. But Ranker, you never know what schmucks are showing up on this one to downvote stuff.
I mean, I guess you can't go wrong when you got Barking Lizards involved. Because it's made by Barking Lizards Technologies.
That was. And Raven Software, who made the last one, and the Marvel Ultimate Alliance. All right, well, getting away from the Marvel universe and back into the JRPG-ass JRPGs, number 55, Atelier Iris 3, Grand Phantasm.
Have you played this, Platty? I've only played the first one of this series.
Yeah, I played Eternal Mana but not this one. So I played one of the Iris games. I don't know. Now, in terms of the greater Atelier universe, the Atelier Iris games were made to be more run-of-the-mill JRPGs instead of what all the rest since then have been. Everything else is you've got a magical girl and you're doing a lot of crafting, and it's really about that with time limits and stuff.
All the crafting.
All the
description
crafting.
here says, unlike previous games in the series, the maximum number of playable characters is 3.
So,
which means it's less. Reading this means it's less, and so obviously that could be why it's bad, is because you can only play 3 people instead of more than that. This is a series that I also want to get into at some point, but just haven't had the time. It was one of those magical moments when I picked Tales of Graces off the shelf instead of one of these, and the rest is history.
Yeah, the characters.
No, and I've just started playing more of these. Just this year, I played 2 already. Ryza was amazing. Like I personally like an 8.5 out of 10. But I played one for on my Vita, Esha and Logi. That's about 5 or 6 years old, and that was excellent. That's a 9 out of 10 game. It took me away from Dragon Quest Monsters. I had to take a break to beat that and then go back to Dragon Quest Monsters. But yeah, the older ones, I don't know.
And I know, at least from playing the first game, it seemed like there's, a lot of the storylines and characters could be like a lot more lighthearted than you would typically see in some other games. So that is a fun part of it. Yeah.
Is that the one you played, Eternal Mana, or did you play? I think mine might have been Atelier Iris 2. It's on the list. We'll get to it though.
Yeah.
So we'll see there. From Atelier Iris 3, we move up to number 54. It's Breath of Fire 5, Dragon Quarter.
Oh, this game pissed off
everyone's favorite entry.
Yes, pissed off so many people back in the day.
Oh, is that the case? Because I own this game, and all I remember is that we got stuck very early and could not continue, so we never continued.
Yeah, this basically killed the series.
Very different from all the rest of the ones.
It is. It's really not even a Breath of Fire game the way it's set up. It should have been called something else. It's got some elements.
The first 4 are just traditional turn-based.
Yeah.
Could fit right in with Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy at the time. And then this one is way different.
Yeah, they tried to experiment a lot with this one, and it fell on its face, and that's why there's not a Breath of Fire 6. Unless that mobile game counts. I forget there's like a mobile game that came out like many years later.
Mm-hmm. I do remember that, but yeah, this was the end.
Yeah, I just remember we were trying to escape from somewhere, and we weren't strong enough to beat the enemies unless we used our dragon power. But when we used our dragon power, we drained our energy, and then we'd run out of energy before we could get out of the place, and so we were just kind of locked there. Couldn't do anything about it.
Well, highly recommend 4, the one before this. Like the storyline for 4 was excellent, and it's probably one of the best of the series.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just so you know, these two are neck and neck here. I just voted Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter down just for the heck of it, and it changed the order. So all of these are subject to change depending on who's clicking on stuff. So, but low 50s though, low 50s or mid 50s, should I say? Moving up, I've heard of this one, never played it. Number 53 is The Bard's Tale.
Yeah, all these Western style RPGs, I'm like, it's just not my thing. So a lot of these, I'll be nothing much to have.
And it released on Windows 2 and Steam. Wow, Steam before 2010. I guess I knew of Steam before 2010. Oh man, it's even on iOS in 2011. Woo! Oh wait, hey, too bad Matt Craft couldn't make it tonight. It was ported to the what is it, the Ouya?
Yeah.
Yep, with full controller support. So maybe it's high on the Ouya list, but not high here. All right, moving up, number 52, Castlevania: Curse of Darkness.
Never heard of this entry.
Neither have I, actually.
So I went because Castlevania games aren't really RPGs; they're like action games. I wonder if this is like some entry where they tried to make it more of an action RPG, or it's just on this list erroneously. I don't know. Yeah,
which again, this is it talks about Xbox version was released. Despite that, Japan was the only able to see a PlayStation 2 release. I mean, it's written in English there, so it must come out here too. That description is not very good.
The way I read this is that it was released for Xbox and PlayStation 2, but Japan only got the PlayStation 2 version. They didn't get the Xbox version.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Xbox was not much of a thing over there. Still isn't, but
no, they don't like old Bill Gates.
Oh, and then we come to number 51, but like a top 10 in my heart. Here we go. Finally, Grandia Extreme.
Do.
This was this had Mark Hamill and an amazing voice cast.
Yes.
But they took the Grandia games and made a dungeon crawler out of it. Mm-hmm. Like there was only 4 or 5 places to go, and you just went in them over and over and over and over again. But the crafting system was what I loved. You'd get these eggs going down through it, and you'd combine eggs to make better eggs, and all the eggs had the spells in them.
Oh, yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yep, if you wanted to get, an extremely good egg and have the best spells in the game to get later on and everything, like you might have needed like 40 fire eggs that combine into 20 inferno eggs to combine into 10 whatever eggs to combined with the wind and the other ones. I loved it. To be honest, I think the battle system in this was right up there with Grandia 3. Yes. It was like perfected. But yeah, I can see why people vote this low. It was not a complete JRPG experience. It was mainly do the same thing over and over again.
Well, I mean, at least they didn't call it Grandia 4 and they actually like labeled it something else, because it really was like extreme dungeon crawling. It was different. I enjoyed it too for what it was. I mean, It's definitely not the same experience as like the 1 through 3 of the Grandia series, but it was still a lot of fun. And I got to experience this before it was officially released, because this was when I went to got invited by Enix of America to go to E3 back in 2001, and this is one of the games that they were pushing that was going to be coming out in the future. So this is one of their big titles that they were showcasing at E3 when I went to it, and it was very interesting to see the preview of it before the game came out.
It's cool. It's got a date on here, January 1st, 2022. That sounds like a placeholder, but yeah, that fits with what you said. 2022, you were playing an early build in 21.
Yeah, 2001 came out.
Sorry,
came out in 2002.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a fun game. Like it's a lot of like intense dungeon crawling, but if you're into that kind of thing, they do it very well. It's got the Grandia battle system. It's a fun game.
Yep. I mean, the battle system and the alchemy, just the combining of the spell eggs. That's what it was. It was like, let me just keep doing this to get a better one. Yeah, story-wise, whatever. Not every game's got to hit all parts of it. This was just extremely fun battling. Should have been higher than 51, though.
Yeah.
All right, number 50. We've hit number 50. We're in the top 50. La Pucelle Tactics.
I got nothing.
Another Nippon Ichi one. Yangus, they ever re-release this one?
They probably have. I don't know.
Oh, you're our re-release Nippon Ichi reporter. Get on your job.
I only care about it now because they're doing stuff for fucking our Trails of series. Shit otherwise.
Nice.
Oh, well, here's a lovely one. And it's funny because they've got other stuff on some of these games. There's like a little bit more information down here. Number 49, Drakengard 2. It was listed on some of the other lists on Ranker. It is number 25 of 26 on the best PS2 action RPGs. And it's number 97 of 97 on the best combat flight simulator games.
What?
Which, when reading the description of it as an action role-playing game that combines ground-based hack-and-slash combat with aerial dragon combat. Flight simulator games.
Raised by dragons.
Okay. But Drakengard, I've heard of the Drakengard series. Is it like Nier or something it combines with?
I think. I don't actually know, but I think my brother was talking about
there is some modern series that this is,
and I think that's what he mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Drakengard series. There's some. It connects to something else, more modern. Yep, Nier Automata. Yep, it's in the Nierverse.
Oh wow! I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I've heard these mentioned. I mean, I don't think you need to play Nier to get it, but it is. There you go.
Isn't Nier a Square Enix game? Or am I thinking something else? I might be thinking of something else. I'll shut up now.
Nier Automata, let's see. Who made this one? Series? It's published by Square Enix.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't too far off. Okay, cool.
No, it's in the family. It's in the family.
Yeah.
All right, moving on up. Wow, this is really low for what you'd expect. But number 48, Final Fantasy X2.
People love to shit on this game, but I actually really enjoyed it. That's why it's so low, because people were just mad I remember when this game came out. I was like, what the heck is this? Because it was like you had the 3 female characters and you had like the whole dress-up system and whatnot that was incorporated into the combat. But I thought it was charming. I had fun with it. I was a huge Final Fantasy X fan, and while 10-2 is just like kind of a more lighthearted romp, I thought it was fun. Back when it came out, I had a fun time with the game, and I thought it was cute.
This one is on. I would like to play. I've got the remaster or whatever. I don't know. Was it for Vita or I got it somewhere. I got it either on Vita or Switch or something. But I've wanted to play because yes, I've heard the combat is pretty cool, and that's what gets it through.
It's goofy as all get out. There's like some characters in it that are just like, what are you? Well, what are you doing?
Musical Girls did not endear itself to.
No, it didn't.
Maybe most of the Final Fantasy fans. But hey, speaking of Ranker here, Drakengard had 400 some odd votes. This one was at 1,300. So I guess it's really divisive because more people voted, but it's low.
Yeah, you can see like 714 up votes and 569 down votes. So it's very divisive among the fans.
All right, moving up the list. Ooh, another huge series. Number 47, Suikoden Tactics. Expanding on the role of Suikoden 4, but a tactical game.
I have played Suikoden 1, 2, 3, and the Tetris, or however you call that, on like the...
Tierquest.
Thank you. That one.
And PSP, right?
Yes.
DS.
Or DS, yes.
Yes, sorry.
But I haven't played 4, 5, and Tactics yet, and that's on my 2 playlists in the future.
All I know about this the Tactics one is that if you have saved data from Suikoden 4 on your memory card, you can end up getting some special characters, including the main playable cast of 4.
Oh, that's nice.
I think if I remember right, you get like a super powerful version of the protagonist of 4 as well.
Cool.
Seems like something they would easily do because it does say it expands on the story of that. So
yeah, the Suikoden games are good about that too, because you play 1 and then you just carry over data to 2. You get to recruit the protagonist of the first game and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Well, not ranked high on this list, but Ranker does have it. It's number 6 of 28 on the best PS2 strategy games. So, not too bad. Not too bad. Moving up the list, we got another Tales. Tales of Destiny 2.
However,
number 46. However, another one you haven't played?
it is another one I have not played. However, so this is one that released in the West under a different name than it released in Japan.
Oh.
And I'm not 100% sure which Tales of Destiny 2 this is, because there are technically 2 Tales of Destiny 2s in the West.
Oh god, Final Fantasy all over again.
Tales of Destiny 2.
So the photo icon says Tales of Destiny 2 with Roman numerals. And that actually refers to Tales of Eternia, which is as it was released in Japan. But then they actually made a Tales of Destiny 2 that was a direct sequel to Tales of Destiny, which is what the description seems to describe. Descriptions describe things. However, most people who are voting probably don't know which of the 2 that they're actually voting for. So
yep, I was going to say this one's got significantly fewer votes than all the ones previously.
It's because they don't know which one it is.
They don't know. Yep. I'm not going to vote on that because who the hell knows what that is? Well, hey, here's a familiar name from just recently. Number 45 is the original Drakengard.
They're Square Enix.
There you go. Yeah, they were listed on that one, but not on the other one. Again, this is a fan site with fan voting, and it's probably like reading through Wikipedia here, so you get what you get. Must have an interesting ending because it's on number 5 of 12 on the most what the fuck video game endings that left you speechless.
Huh. Those damn dragons.
Yeah, I mean, Yangus is speechless over this.
Damn dragons, damn guards.
All right, we'll keep moving on here. Maybe this one will get some comment. Number 44, Ease, the Arc of Nepotism. Because, yep, it's all his Adol's family here that got in this game, right? Arc of Nepotism. He only took his family with him to crash and
he had to save
upon a beach.
He had to save all the different types of animals.
2 by 2.
Yep.
I want to say, isn't this number 4? It's number 3 or 4.
This one I believe is number 7 in the series.
Oh, never mind. 7.
Yeah, because number 4 is Memories of Celceta.
Oh, okay. Jeez, then didn't 8 just come out recently? Oh, this is East 6. Okay, so this is 6.
Oh, 6. Okay.
You were only one off, yeah. So, all right, well, play as Adol.
I wonder what's the 7th one then. So I know the 7th one takes. Well, whatever, doesn't matter.
Adol is caught in a maelstrom of mystery and ancient conspiracies on a treacherous archipelago. Well, probably another game where he was in a boat and crashed and washed upon a beach.
Yep.
The only thing
that's what Ease is.
The only thing I can say about this series is that I used to call it Wise because I had no idea.
Aw, wise guy, hey?
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, we're back to back to relying on Blue. For number 43, we got Tales of Legendia.
I got no fun facts. I got no fun facts
no
for
fun
this
facts?
one. It was released just as the one, as far as I can tell. But it ranked a lot higher than the previous ones, and it is its own game. So,
my gosh, we got 3 Tales games on the PS2 already here.
It says this underappreciated entry in the Tales series left a lasting impact on those who experienced its heartfelt journey. So, that makes me wanna experience the journey too.
It also enthralled fans with its immersive plot and memorable characters. So memorable that it got voted all the way up to 43.
I feel like that description gets used for every RPG half the time.
I know.
It's not really unique.
Of course, PS2 was like, wasn't this the era of, you got to make your game 80, 90 hours and we put a bigger number on the box, more people will buy it. So, all right. Moving up, Pendy, here we go. Number 42, Atelier Iris, Eternal Mana. This is the one I played.
I think this is the one I played too, so I don't think this is the first one in the series either.
No. There was like an Atelier Marie or something like this.
Yeah.
Like I said, these games don't play like all of the ones that came after it. This was made to be more of like an entry, like, hey, you like crafting? You like your regular JRPGs? Like, yeah, I remember I had a party. I had people. Mm-hmm. There was some crafting. I guess there was probably a lot of crafting, but I want to even say this was pretty much sprite based.
Yeah, I remember playing this because I recognize the box art. This was fun, and I remember the little over the top characters and storylines, and had some good voice acting from some voice actors that I now know as regulars in the anime world. So it was a fun title.
Yep. This is the only one I'd played until quite a few years later, when I got another one. Probably the only one I played for at least 15 years.
And I'm not like huge on crafting either. It's not like one of my favorite things to do in RPGs, but like you don't have to, like, it's a big part of the game, but like you don't have to be perfect at it to be able to move on.
Correct. I think this one, these were more like, hey, you got these 2 items and you had a recipe, you made it.
Yeah.
The newer games, like the ones in the past 10 years or so, crafting is ridiculously deep.
Oh.
Like you can add a metal, and okay, you've got iron or platinum or whatever. Well, you can add better metals, and the better metals, the item's going to come out way differently. It's not just A plus B equals C. It's like build a word, pick a vowel, pick a consonant, and you can put in tons of different stuff. And even every different one that you find, like, okay, you got 80 pieces of iron. Each one of those 80 pieces of iron will have a different rank, and some will have bonuses on it that others don't. So, it's deep. And you can unlock other stuff if you get the rank high enough, and blah 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 blah.
I see why I thought this was the first one in the series, is because this was the first one released in the West, according to this description.
Ah, yes.
That's why I thought it was the first one. Okay, interesting.
Yep. So, all right.
All of our eyes just glazed over while you were giving that super deep crafting.
Oh, you know what? I get lost in it. Like when I played the Esha and Logi, I got it. I understood that one so well. And I mean, I was making weapons that by the time you're done with it, it's 3 times the attack power of a base one. If you just had it auto make it, it might come out to like attack 50. Well, I learned the crafting system well. I could make that item come out with 150 and have a fire attribute and like poison this and something else on it. It's awesome. It like I said, it pulled me away from Dragon Quest Monsters, but it was kind of that same thing. Like you could make a Slime Knight, but if you have your guys built up before that Slime Knight and then combine these ones, suddenly you've got a Slime Knight with a huge. Not every Slime Knight's the same, you know. It's that deep. And it can be that way to make anything. You can make a bomb that has a million different things on it, and that's 10 times more powerful than a standard bomb.
And then it blows
crazy.
up, and you never see it again.
Oh no, they always like. I don't know if it was this way back then, but in the newer games, there's always some like hand wavy like, well, you're crafting this item, you get unlimited uses with it, or you get a certain number of uses, but you sleep at the end and you can use it again. So no, it doesn't go away. That's what's fun. Even with the healing items, there's always some sort of thing in there, like, you know, you have a certain number of charges. The Ryza, you had 10 charge points you could use, and depending on how well you made it, and you could even add things to bring the charge count down. But like maybe you had a super bomb that took 4 points of it, so you could use that super bomb twice before you had to reset some way to reset the gate. So basically it had like an MP or an SP kind of counter on it. But no, they're never gone. Thank God, because crafting can take you quite a while. All right, well, moving up the list. Number 41, I've heard of this series. Speaking of numbers go up, Disgaea 2, Cursed Memories. Anybody ever play a Disgaea game?
Nope.
I wish I had. I've heard so many good things about this series, but I just haven't gotten around to trying them yet. I've heard that these can just go on forever. Like you can get a lot of hours out of them. Yes,
you can. Yeah, they're strategy RPGs. And yeah, I heard there's like item worlds and whatever battles and this battle and whatever. And yeah, it's all about, you can get them to level 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game, and every game they just keep going higher and higher.
The people in the icon look scary with their red eyes.
There are some creepy looking people there, yeah. But that other guy, his fist is pointing right at you, so you know he's gonna win. Like, I got this. Forget these red-eyed people behind me. So that's a box art that would get people to pick it up off the shelf in 2006.
The only better place to put your fist than right into the viewer's perspective is right up in the air, like in number 40.
Yes, yeah, Arc the Lad. Now this looks like, okay, we don't want to associate with JRPG. We need to have the Western audience. Number 40, Arc the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits.
Again, another one of these later Arc the Lad titles, which I'm not sure how good they are, but I know
this one captured the hearts of fans seeking an engrossing RPG experience. It continues to resonate with RPG enthusiasts.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Maybe it was just that last one where everyone was like, because there just wasn't any more Arc the Lad after that.
Yeah. So, all right, Arc the Lad, number 40. Moving back up to 39. Here we go. Front Mission 4.
I love this game. This game is fantastic. I love the Front Mission series, at least the early Front Mission series, 1 through 5, and some of the remakes that they've had over the years. It's just really fun turn-based strategy RPGs with mechs, and it's great. This one, there was a lot more depth to the battle system, and you could link up like 4 or 5 different mechs for like an attack, or you could do the same thing with defense, and had 2 different like main storylines going on with those 2 characters you can see in the box art there. And it's always, Front Mission always promises a great, deep, like political story that you can really, sink your teeth into. And I've always loved the series for that. I was so disappointed when they like kind of went away from the series and kind of experimented with some other stuff, and I think went a little more action-y, but this was still like, honest to goodness, like turn-based tactical role-playing greatness with robots, and I loved it.
I wish the people on the front of the box had their eyes open and looked a little bit more engaged in this, but did they close their eyes when they go in their mechs? Is that what they're doing there?
No, it's just weird box art. I don't know why they did it for that, but
now, hey, Ranker here. This is the number 1 game of the best PS2 strategy games. So
for good reason.
But in terms of RPGs, it ranked all the way down to number 39. I've heard very good things about this, so I'm a little surprised to see it way down there. But all right, another series. This is one that Pendy keeps talking about. Series that he wished he'd played. I've heard good things. I've heard this in so many different podcasts. Wild Arms 4 coming in at number 38. Wild Arms series. Any of y'all played the Wild Arms?
I have played.
I got Wild Arms if that counts.
Yeah, I played 1 through 3, and I think it's XF is the remake of 1, and then there's like a turn-based tactical RPG entry as well. I forget what the name escapes me. That was like PSP, but I haven't played 4 and 5 yet. And the reason being is because I enjoyed 1, I enjoyed 2. The tactical turn-based RPG one is one of my favorite of all time for that subgenre. But Wild Arms 3 is one of my most hated RPGs of all time. And so it kind of poisoned me on the series, and so I just never got around to playing 4 and 5. And I think 4 and 5 are supposed to be better, I think, but just I can't even remember why because it was so long ago. But I remember just playing 3, and it was one of those instances where I was back in the day. It was like, I don't care if I'm having a bad time. I'm gonna finish this game, damn it. And I remember my roommate at the time, who's still my friend, he was making fun of me because I thought I was getting to the end of the game. Like, this must be the end of the game. Nope, I had like 5 to 10 more hours left where I thought I was getting to the final boss, and I was just so mad. And it was one of those games where after I played, I was like, I need to stop doing this to myself. If I don't like the game, stop it. Stop it. Like Final Fantasy VIII and Wild Arms 3 taught me, like, don't stop torturing yourself. If you don't like it, just quit.
That was my lesson from Angus. What Saga game did we try playing together?
Romancing Saga 2.
That was it. That was the one that taught me, like, okay, it's fine. Even though I got 20 hours into it, it's okay to walk away.
Yeah.
And yet you went and played Saga Frontier Remastered. You fucking...
No, you're right. You're right. And just recently, you know what? I powered through Aiden Chronicles because I got it for free. And Yangus is like, well, you're going to wait to play that, right? Till it gets all patched. I'm like, yeah. And then I put my 45 hours into it and beat it. Don't play the Switch port, by the way. FYI. Give that one a few more months. Even if you're a big Suikoden fan, play it on something else. I messaged the guy who sent me the free code. I was like, hey, by the way, I'm glad I was able to take the bullet for you. I wanted to play a series I hadn't really played before very much. So I'm glad I did it, but I'm glad that you're playing it on something other than Switch.
Yep.
Yep. I had another staff member that just gave me it. I think he had bought it on Switch and got the free code because the physical Switch versions weren't going to be ready for release date. So everybody that backed the game and did Switch got a free digital code for it. And I think he saw that writing on the wall and immediately wanting to stream it, like bought it for PC instead. Was like, I backed it, I bought it, I'll get my Switch copy, but here you go, have the code. So thank you, but damn it. All right, a better series though. Well, maybe not. Depends on your view. But Ranker has it higher. Number 37, Shadow Hearts from the New World. Pendy, this is the third one, right?
Yeah, technically the fourth, but the third Shadow Heart.
Oh, that's right. The first was Klonoa or something like that.
Yeah, I forget the name off the top of my head. I played and beat that one too. But yeah, it's this series. This is the only game in the series and the last game in the series as well and I just haven't played it yet. But I have played all the other ones, and it's interesting because it takes place. It's got like this whole magical, JRPG stuff going on, but it takes place in the real world, but in the past, and it's like a continuing storyline. So all these events of history that are going on at the same time are happening at the same time that you have this crazy JRPG story going along. So like for this one, it's supposed to be like 1920s America. I think the Covenant was what like World War I or something like that, and it just keeps going back in time and whatnot. So it's very interesting.
It's a battle system though. It's that Judgment Ring combat system that's fun.
Oh, I love it. Any kind of turn-based RPG that has something a little quirky to it to make it a little more interesting, I love it. Like this, like you said, it's got the Judgment Ring combat system for this one, or like you've got the Mario and Luigi RPGs where you got the button timing. I always love it when they do something like that. Or Legend of Dragoon has timing with the different hits and things like that. So I like it when they do things like this for turn-based RPGs. Add a little extra element to it, which is great. And
yeah, we'll talk about it later, but I played one of the games in this series, really loved it. I'm usually not one for timed button presses, but I don't know, that ring, that's fun. There's something about that more than just like hit at the right time. Maybe because I can see it, like it's building right there. I can like time it a little better with a visual cue. Yeah, it's very rewarding, and it's not like too difficult. It's like it's just got like the right amount of difficulty to be able to master it, in my opinion. And then that went away at this. This was the last one in the Shadow Hearts. Although, wasn't there a new game coming out by a spiritual successor? Oh, I don't know. I want to say that there was a couple years ago. There was a dual Kickstarter for two different games to bring back. It might be Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts, if I'm not mistaken. Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. That
sounds familiar.
Yep, there were two games, and hey, you never would have thought they're together, but we got a lot of series veterans. Let's put 2 for 1 and really bring in two different fan bases to get this going. Oh, so, okay. I looked it up. One day there might be. The game that kicked off the storyline, but it's not called Shadow Hearts. It's called like Koudelka or Koudelka or probably that is more accurate. Got that K one. I said it wrong earlier. Yeah. Yeah, and it's got a different battle system too. It's more like a grid-based, turn-based RPG. And it was kind of a horror game, if I'm not mistaken. It was. Yep. And it was like one of the main characters in that game is like the mother of the main male character in the first Shadow Hearts game, if I remember right. Okay. Yeah, they did have some little things. Well, back to Wild Arms, as we were talking about it, surrounding Shadow Hearts here. We've got the remake of the first game. So it's number 36 on the list is Wild Arms Alter Code F. It's the effing remake of the first game. Yeah, this was fun. This is a really good remake because if you've ever played the original Wild Arms, like that's an early game. In early as in like the 3D graphics when they're trying to figure out how we can render 3D graphics, and it looks really rough. It does not age well. It's very blocky, like even more so than like Final Fantasy VII or something like that. But they like completely rehauled the graphics for this game, and it was fantastic. And I think they added an extra character and a whole bunch of new things to it. It's a quality remake, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts creator announced double Kickstarter for spiritual successors Armed Fantasia and Penny Blood. Huh.
I hate it when my pennies bleed.
I know.
I feel like one of those was named with more affection than the other.
Armed Fantasia. I mean, I'm guessing, I'm just going to go out on a limb and think that's the Wild Arms spiritual successor. It's definitely got look at us. We're JRPG characters out west in the picture. And then Penny Blood definitely's got that, looking at it, I'd say that's kind of horror-y. Horror. There you go. You got it. But it's got that kind of look. It looks more like a Castlevania kind of thing there, but I guess that's the Shadow Hearts thing. So interesting. We got Wild Arms 4, Shadow Hearts from the New World, Wild Arm Code F. And as we're going up the list, Number 35, we have Wild Arms 5.
Yeah, just another one.
Another game that Pendy wants to play that hasn't got to yet.
Eventually, because I do own this one as well. I've got 4 and 5 sitting on my shelf. Just haven't tried it yet.
So, yep, another Wild Arms game. I think we've talked enough about Wild Arms, but 3 out of 4 in the list here, right in a row. Wild Arms 5. So, moving on and talking about games from big series, we've got number 34, Suikoden 4, the game you spend most of the time in the boat, right? Yep. That's all I know about this game. It's part of Suikoden. It is the least enjoyed ones by fans, and lots with a boat. Boat. That's just the key word.
Yep. That's what I heard the complaints about this one was the boat. Too much boat.
Floating boat.
Yep. All right, well, we'll go on up. All right, number 33, Dot Hack Infection.
Never played any of these games, so I got nothing.
No, neither have I.
I remember when these were like a big thing back in the day. Like, I've never played any of these games either, but I did watch some of the anime, and the anime was fun of what I saw. I think I saw like 2 of the series that they put out based off of Dot Hack.
So, and this is the first of 4 in its series. So, I know there's a lot of Dot Hacks.
Yeah.
So, and you're in a world, you're playing in a world where someone's in an MMO or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, got a lot of that stuff. All right, number 32, Xenosaga Episode 2. I will not read the German after that.
Screw this. That's okay, because screw this game. God, I hated this game so much. It was, I've probably said this before on a previous Sidequest, but I loved 1 like more than anything else, and then 2 came out and completely redid the battle system, and it was awful, and it was difficult, and I hated it, and I played it. This is one that I played despite all of that, just because the storyline is still so good, and that part was still great, and I loved the storyline to it, but just the battle system and having to trudge through all the dungeons with it, I just hated it a lot. You had to like figure out different patterns for different enemies, and it was a lot different than the first one. They had no reason to change the battle system as much as they did. First game was successful, would have been fine, and it poisoned a lot of people on the series, and unfortunately, a lot of people have not played 3 because they got turned off by playing 2.
Was this the one that was mainly the second disc was all cutscenes or whatever?
That was Xenosaga.
Okay, there's okay.
Different series, but same company, same people that made it.
Yeah. So, Pendy, I don't know. You said the battle system was worse. It says right here it was an improved combat system. So
no, not even a little bit. Awful. It killed the series. So Pendy, it really
Pendy
did.
downvoted this one then.
Oh, I gotta do that right now. Boom.
There you go. I'll downvote it for you. Oh, it didn't move. Okay. Yeah, it got
That's
that.
what she said.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving up the list, we've got number 31, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2.
Woo! I have played.
Okay, let's move on to number 30. What?
So this is actually one of my brother's favorites.
Oh, really?
So it was a 2-player sort of dungeon crawler RPG. And when so we had a game that
good
played.
Loot system.
It did have a good loot system. We had a game that played similarly that was called Champions of Norath, which was objectively a worse game, but it was 4-player. So I could play with my dad and my brother, whereas this one being 2-player, it ended up being my brother and my dad a lot of the time. So young Blue Star preferred Champions of Norath, even though it's an objectively worse game that did not even make the list. But no, there's a lot of really good things about this game, and I think the first one's on here too, so I can talk a little bit more about the silly thing that we did when we played.
What?
Oh, it's right
Number
there!
30, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Blue, take it away.
Wow! So, one of the fun stories that I have from when I did play this with my brother is there's a charisma stat that you can boost to increase the money that you get for selling stuff from shops and allow you to buy things for cheaper. So when we were playing, that was all I did. You
were charismatic?
I was very charismatic. So whenever we went back to town, Luke would give all of his stuff to me and I would sell it. And then I would say, "What do you want?" And I would buy it for him. And so he put a bunch of points into Constitution so he could carry all of my shit, and then I was the people person.
All right, well, there you go. Blue is pretty high on these games. Again, something that we've talked about, but nobody's played here. Number 29, Disgaea, Hour of Darkness.
Started it all. Penguins with rockets. That's all I remember.
Oh, my.
Little penguin characters that I think they had little rocket packs or something like that.
It was praised for its devilish charm and addictive gameplay. This cold hit left an impact on the strategy RPG scene. Yeah, we've got to number 6. I think 7's out soon, or maybe 6 was just out soon, or I don't know. But there's a lot of these, and there's remakes of like at least the first 4, so they keep coming.
And you can find a lot of them on Steam now too, which I noticed, which is nice.
All right. Number 28, Blue is finally up to us.
It's Dark
Way
Cloud.
too low on this loud. Yep, Dark Cloud.
It's way too low, but it's still here, so we can be excited about it. Honestly, great game. My brother just recently replayed it, and just still, it still holds up. I still just love it. It's as far as action RPGs go, I mean, there's not, you press X to attack and you move around, and that's about all you can do. But you get different characters that use different weapon types, and you have one of the coolest weapon improving systems, I think, in any game ever. So essentially every time your weapon levels up, you can put certain things on it, increase its stats, and at some point you can build it up into something completely new. And then those have different maximum stats, so you just kind of keep evolving your sword or your slingshot or
it's like
ray
the Dragon
gun.
Quest monsters. You take your little slime and you start out with, and he becomes a she slime, and he becomes this and this and this and this and this, and by the end, he's Nocturnus, and you're kicking ass.
And you also get to collect different parts of villages that got destroyed, and you get to build houses and put people back in them. And then you ask people, hey, what do you want me to put in your house? And they're like, oh, I need a lamp. And you're like, I got you, bro. And so you put a lamp in his house. It's just fun.
Yeah, the little city building, that's the gameplay loop. There's a dungeon, and outside is a city that a little town has been demolished, and you go through that dungeon until you beat the boss, and throughout the dungeon, you're picking up pieces of the city and returning it and building the city. And yeah, you got to point it different way. I like to see the sunrise. Well, you better point it to the east and all that good stuff. Yeah, we've talked a lot about these on our Level 5 podcast quite a few years ago, but we had a Level 5 side quest and gave this one a lot of love. There's another Dark Cloud game on PS2. We'll see where it comes in. Probably up here sooner or later.
The one on the list is not technically a Dark Cloud game, but
yeah. I've gone through, but next one up, man, I got hooked on this. Number 27, Grandia 3, for all you Dragon Quest fans that used to be on the Slime Knights website. They actually did a similar, back in the day, back in 2005 time, they did a similar website for Grandia 3. And the very first contest they had on that website, I won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had, the first one was like, tell us about your Grandia fandom or whatever. And I had a whole thing about like, I just, like the year before, beaten Grandia 2. And I had to have it on in the background as I got a phone call and I got a job offer while fighting the final boss of Grandia 2. So I think that whole story and putting that all together, and the fact that it was like a brand new website and maybe 20 of us total actually posted in that contest thing. But I'd come from Slime Knights. I'm like, I know what I'm doing on this website. It looked exactly like it. It was like they copy and pasted the format, and it was Slime Knights. It should have been called, Grandia Knights. It was just that. And I don't think I stuck around on that website much at all after that, but Grandia 3, great game. I loved the opening music. It was by a Japanese J-pop artist named Miz, M-I-Z. I tracked down all her work like in 2005, 2006. I still got it. There's my J-pop beginning, Yangus. This is my J-pop origin story. If not for Grandia 3, there would be...
That's pretty kawaii of you, Patty.
There would be no other ones. Now, I remember the story of Grandia 3... A lot of people were kind of like, oh, geez. And there was no more Grandias after Grandia 3. But I liked it. Yeah. The combat was just as good as Extreme. I loved doing aerial combos because you would knock the guy up in the air and then the time would progress and it was the next person's turn. If the person was still up in the air, it'd be like, oh, kick ass. I'm going to be doing a combo while they're floating up there and kick them even higher. And this was fun.
Yeah, this
Protagonist Hot Mom was in the beginning of the game too.
That's right.
She left after a while. Somebody picked up Hot Mom.
This gets overshadowed by 2 a lot, but I really enjoyed this one as well. I loved the characters and I loved exploring the world, and it was so much fun. And like you said, they tweaked the combat system to make it even more exciting. So this sometimes gets a bad rap, like you said, but I comparative to like 2, but I thought it was great. I love this game.
Full stop. This is probably a top 5. Well, I mean, we'll see what else we got here, but I could probably put this on like my top 10 easily. PS2 RPGs. Moving up, we got more Wild Arms. Yangus, keep swinging them. Wild Arms 3 comes in at number 26.
Like I said before,
you played this
had
one.
A horrible experience with this game. I remember part of it was. I can't remember all of the reasons why I hated it, but I remember one of the initial reasons that I got annoyed with it is because they changed how you would find towns, because they had this radar system where you had to put out the radar and then see if there was something in the area. I think you could find items too that way, but you couldn't find a town. Like, towns were not on the map. Like, you'd have to use your radar system and then go to where you thought the town was based off of clues from places you've been before, and then hit the radar button, and then boom, oh, hey, there's the town. And that part of exploration just pissed me off, and I hated it so much. But
I've heard so many podcasts on the Wild Arms series, and yes, that's the exact thing that I heard people like, ah.
Yeah, I did not like that part of it. But this is a series that has a lot of puzzles in its dungeons, so that can be challenging as well. I remember that I had troubles with puzzles and some of the puzzles in 2. But that's, if you like puzzles in your dungeons, like, this is a series that does a lot of that. At least the first 3 do. So that's something that's fun about it. And I remember the characters weren't that bad, and the main character the protagonist was pretty cool. But other things about the game, I just was hating myself by the time I finally finished it. Like, oh,
you were
my
not
God,
having a rootin' tootin' good time?
I was not.
All right, maybe moving up. Yangus, I don't know if you played this one, but we're finally on the SMT. Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 2.
It's a good time. Definitely has some crazy moments with the story. The nice thing is with this one, too, it's like, so you really need to play the first one before you dive into the second one, because there's story stuff that will not make sense, but you definitely, after playing the first one, you definitely get invested and you want to see what's going to happen next. There's some crazy reveals.
Was it a worthy successor that the sequel left fans satisfied and shivering from the riveting conclusion of the memorable journey?
Yeah, sure.
Just off the cuff, what you said was, it sounded like it was a very successful second entry in a series.
Yeah, it was. This was one of those
one
games
that you need to play if
you
played the first.
Yeah, this was one too where like everybody was kind of like, well, how are they going to top the super boss of the first game? Because that was definitely like one of those things where people have overanalyzed the crap out of it, but for a very good reason. Well, then they decided with this one, like, we haven't seen Satan pop up in one of these games in a long time. Let's have him pop up as the final boss, as the super boss, and he does not F around either. It's great.
So what was the combat like in these games?
It's the turn-based press turn system, like in 4 and 3.
Yeah. Okay. Nice,
it's pretty good time. And then this is actually one too where you your party members, like you have your different characters, they all kind of have their different like strengths and weaknesses as well. But with how the skill system works, you can try and give them abilities that perhaps protect them from some of their weaknesses, like I forget his name. It's like Celio or something. Like he is a character that's a little more prone to being affected by status ailments. But if you can give him the right skills, kind of like with demons in the main series, you can protect him from that. And then if enemies attack him with it, it wastes their turn, and you then get to go right into your turn and stuff. So it's all about planning out how your team's skill sets are and stuff, and you can make them grow however you want to. So that's nice.
Good customization.
This one definitely improved. What?
Good customization.
Yeah. And this one definitely improved on what the first game did for its customization. They gave a lot more options, and characters weren't quite... I mean, they weren't necessarily limited in the first one, but you had a lot more freedom in this one versus what the first game tried to do. So it was definitely a big improvement combat-wise.
Does this feature Dante from Devil May Cry?
No, that's Nocturne.
Damn it. No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
We'll get there. It's coming. It's coming. We're getting to better games now because that was number 25. So we've entered the top 25. Number 24, Blue, it's all you. Do you want to say it?
Tales of Symphonia! I have played this one. So honestly, I'm kind of surprised that this is not the top Tales game on the list, because this is kind of regarded as one of, if not the best of the series, I think, in general, at least by the amount that
I've heard
it
of
has
it.
been
I've
remade.
heard of it all the lot, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been remade like twice, like recently. And some of the other ones on this list, even the one that is listed higher, has, I mean, okay, I think it's been remade once, but not recently enough that it's accessible, I would say.
This one recently got remade, right? For
yes.
everything?
Yeah, more of a remaster, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't think that remaster or port, or however you want to say, I don't think it was received super well. But I have the PlayStation 3 port remaster type thing, and I've had a lot of fun with it, so it's definitely a fun adventure. It's one of those that you don't realize how big of an adventure it's going to be when it starts off. Mm-hmm. So the world expands a lot, doubles in size, so it's a big, interesting story.
Yikes. Okay, so Yangus, you're right. You're like, the newer one is the remastered version, obviously not a full remake. Looking at the Switch port, 26 critic reviews, Metacritic of 63, and the fan score of 3.8. So yeah, not well received might be the understatement there, but
yeah, it was not very well optimized. And that's the biggest thing, is that they just kind of threw it on there and like, whatever, we'll fix it later, which is the unfortunate mindset nowadays.
Copy and paste, like, if it worked on PlayStation 2, it works on Switch. Copy paste, boom.
Yep.
But well, good to hear that the first one was a good one.
Yeah, I think it was the remaster was all performance related. It just didn't didn't hold up.
Yeah. All right, moving up. Hey, Angus, we've got your other one, SMT Digital Devil Saga at number 23.
Yep. Yeah, this was one where definitely the game kind of slowly introduces new stuff to it, and like how the whole world works and everything. But you don't really get like the big twist on what exactly the world is all about until like you get to the very end of the game, as is tradition with RPGs. You get the big reveal at the very end. But this was one where I'll kind of repeating what I said about the first one, but I will say the super boss of this game was pretty cool, and it still is one of the most well regarded super bosses Atlas has put into one of their RPGs. You actually get a fight off against the Demi-Fiend from Nocturne, and the funny part is that when you fight him, it just uses the random battle theme from Nocturne. So basically, it implies that the Demi-Fiend just sees you as just a regular encounter. He doesn't really see you as anything special. You're just a random encounter to him. And then when you finally end up beating him, the comment he leaves behind on a note just basically is like, yeah, okay, whatever, you beat me, I don't really care, lol, bye. So it's just a slap in the face if you actually manage to beat him. But yeah, it's a pretty good first game of this duology, and definitely recommend playing it first before you start playing the sequel, because otherwise story stuff is not going to make a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, this seems like it was very, very linked.
But it doesn't feature Dante from Devil May Cry. It's a shame.
We're getting there.
Okay.
All right, Blue, what's number 22?
Dark Chronicle! Or
never played it, never heard of it.
Dark Cloud 2!
Yay!
So this is a game that in the United States it was released as Dark Cloud 2, and in Europe it was released as Dark Chronicle. I don't really know why. They just were feeling spicy. But it is a very good sequel. It improves and expands upon a lot of the good things about Dark Cloud, the original Dark Cloud. The story is a little bit of a step up. It's fully voiced. You're sort of recruiting members from the first town that has not been destroyed to help you rebuild all of the rest of the towns that have been destroyed, and you need to rebuild them. And it's the same kind of dungeon crawling, rebuilding the town, upgrading your weapons, and changing them into other things. It's a lot of fun. Golf. And playing golf. Being really bad at golf, mostly.
What was it called? Like Saphira or?
Sphida,
yeah.
Sphida.
Yep, I remember the second I would build this second I could be done with and clear one, because it's a dungeon crawler. You go into one level, beat that level, and you could then play golf in that level. And I immediately like, oh, cool, did it. Like I felt for a while that it was that was what was pushing me forward. Like if I could just beat the next one, then I could play golf there. Because I mean, imagine playing golf in like a maze of a dungeon crawler. Like it was so bizarre. There were no straight lines.
Yeah, and some of them they expect you to shoot over the out of bounds areas, which like good luck actually staying in bounds.
So all right, moving on to another Tales one. Rankers got it as the number 3 best Bandai Namco RPG of all time, but we've got at number 21 on this list. Tales of the Abyss.
Yeah,
I'm surprised this one's not higher.
I'm surprised it's not higher, but I'm also surprised that it's higher than Tales of Symphonia.
Doesn't surprise me.
But also at the same time, so this is the one that it's been remade for the DS, but like not since. And Symphonia's been remade twice, and I have not played this one because it's like $100 to get it for PlayStation 2, or it's not possible.
Off getting the 3DS version if you can, because the PS2 one apparently has some really bad loading issues.
However, one of the things that I like about the Tales series is that I can play them in co-op, and you can't do that on the DS. So DS is out.
Yeah, this is one of the first 3DS RPGs that came out. Even though it was a port, it was still kind of a big deal because there weren't a whole lot of Tales games that had come out to the Nintendo systems at the time. And nowadays it's a little different, but yeah, it was still pretty big. Because I remember a lot of people being like, "Oh, there's Tales."
Yangus, we were going to play this. This was going to be one of our games, and then I was like, "Oh my god, it's 50 hours or something."
Yeah, I still got my copy on my shelf. I've had it since it originally came out, but only got it like 2 hours into it, and I was just like, I'm not feeling this right now, and I haven't gone back since. I've heard nothing but good things about this one, especially with people liking how like the main character Luke changes as the game goes on.
Mm-hmm. This is the last physical 3DS game I ever bought. I got it maybe because I think when we were going to play it, it might have been like 3 years ago. I found a used copy at GameStop for not much, $10-15.
That's not that bad deal,
yeah. So this is the last physical 3DS game I've ever purchased. So I think I modded my 3DS then months later and was like, I could have just emulated it. And probably will, so I don't have to put the cart in the game and then take it out all the time. But moving up our list, another game that I feel like this one I've heard a couple podcasts on, and like just it interests the hell out of me, but I'm sure I'll never play it. Number 20, Radiata Stories.
Yeah, this is like the precursor game to Radiant Historia, because it was made by the same, I think the same team that made Radiata Stories, if I remember right.
Tricrescendo.
Tricrescendo, that's Eternal Sonata.
Yeah, Eternal Sonata, yep. They do the Bait and Kaitos, too, which I almost picked up the ports of the other day. But I heard like this game has a lot of, I see deep party management. Yes, it was maybe not exactly Suikoden, but you picked up a lot of party members along the way and had a base building or something like that. And I was just looking at the battle system. I'm like, man, I don't know. It looks like you get into a battle and then you just run around and whack people, which maybe Ni no Kuni 2 kind of vibes there. All right, nobody's played that one. What about number 19? Speaking of Tricrescendo, right here, number 19, Valkyrie Profile 2, Slimeria? Silmeria?
Oh, I definitely read that as Slimeria. Like,
yeah, I
very similar to, I think, Rocket Slime.
Damn Dragon Quest fans.
And you played a Valkyrie Profile game?
Nope.
I played the first one. And I enjoyed it, but I never got around to playing the sequel.
Right,
great.
Ranker people like it.
It's interesting. If it's anything like the first one, you're basically a Norse god, and you're kind of recruiting all these people who have died and bringing them to your side, and it's very interesting. And it's got some what do you call it? Platforming to it a little bit as well. At least the first one did. So different. It's different.
All right. Hey, Pendy, get ready to talk about number 18. We got Xenosaga, Episode 3. It's also
So good old Sparkasburger. Fingerbergen.
But yes, so much higher than 2, and for good reason. Like this, like it says in the description, talks about like a satisfying conclusion. I would agree. It had a great end to the story. They went back to a battle system that was much more similar to the first game than the second one, because people hated the battle system for the second one that much. So that, just some proof of what I was talking about before. So it was great mixture of turn-based combat with the characters that you have, and it's got some mech action in it as well. And it's just a great game. I love the characters in this series. I love the combat, at least for the one and for the third one. It's got some fantastic villains in it as well. One of my favorite actors at the time, I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up later, since I'm sure the first Xenoblade Saga is on this list too. But he plays one of the main antagonists, and he's also the guy who plays Alucard in the Hellsing series, and both of the Hellsing series. And for this game, as playing as a villain, he has this fantastic evil laugh. That's one of the best evil laughs I've ever heard. Like up there with like Mark Hamill doing the Joker evil laugh. It's great. So yeah, it's a great ending to the series, and it was a lot of fun.
All right. Moving up to the next one on the list. Everybody remembers this one, number 17, the PS2 classic Chrono Cross.
Wasn't this?
Oh, this was the one you guys were talking about, huh?
Yep.
Why?
Well, no, definitely not a PS2
not
game.
a PS2 game.
This gives me an opportunity to briefly just bitch about how much I did not like this game.
Moving on to the next entry on our list.
All I'm gonna say is I love Chrono Trigger, and I loved how it brought the best of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest people together to make it. Chrono Cross did not do that, and I think it suffered for it, and that's all I'll say. But great music, fantastic music.
I want to say it was the episode that I listened to. The past couple years, I've got hooked on the 8-4 Play podcast. And I know Dwayne's got some thoughts about those people at 8-4 Play, but like an episode like 10 or 11 years ago, somebody had mentioned on the Den forums, I found it, that somebody mentioned like, oh, hey, they're talking Dragon Quest translation, whatever, because 8-4 Play does localization services. And someone's like, oh, yeah, there was a Dragon Quest talk, and they linked an episode from like 10, 12 years ago. And they talked about this game, too, and how it was so hard because there were so many different freaking characters. Mm-hmm. And they're like, back then, in 99, they're like, you just got hell, a lot of it's still this time. They're like, you got an Excel spreadsheet with just text, and you're like, trying to make every character sound different. Like, you didn't even know it was different characters sometimes. Well, you were localizing and everything, but me, everything Penny just said, reverse it. Really love this game, not so much Chrono Trigger. But, that is, talk about an unpopular opinion. My opinion would be ranked down. My Slime Time rank just went down because of that.
Welcome to the bottom of the list, buddy.
Oh, man.
Save you a seat.
Still number 2.
Yep.
All right.
I hold that number 2. I hold that number 2, and I hold that number 2 in.
Speaking of number 2, no, this one's not number 2. But number 16 on the list is Star Ocean Till the End of Time. It was Star Ocean 3 at the time. And I had enough fun with Star Ocean 2 that I bought this game, and I liked this one. And I've heard a lot of negative things afterwards about this, but no, here we go. It's ranked pretty high here, top 16. Anybody play the Star Ocean games?
Yeah, this is an action RPG series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I have never really gotten to a lot of action RPGs, so I haven't tried this series yet.
I don't know why I tried the second one. Because I was, especially back in 2003, 2004, I was not playing a lot of action RPGs at all. To this day, I don't. But 20 years ago, I really didn't. But it's got a deep crafting system, and it was in space. Maybe that second one that's what pulled me in. But really enjoyed the second one. Really enjoyed this third one. So I don't know if I'd put it above some of the other ones I saw here, and it's not above Chrono Cross in my book, but it's also not above the Dark Clouds. So, but that's all right. That's all right. glad I got some love on the list. All right, top 15. Here we go. The original Shadow Hearts, which was the second one where we talked about. Not that one that begins with the K, horror kind of game, but the Shadow Hearts named trilogy, the first game in that one.
I was going to say that it kind of sounds like the anti-K Hearts, and the box art character from the other one that was on the list definitely looked like the protagonist from the other series. So,
but this one you've got the box art here. If you want to see a 3D modeled girl's half her butt sticking out, being held passed out here, you got Yuri holding on to her there.
Yeah, this was just like a lot of the other games in this series. This is a lot of fun. This is what got me into it. I hadn't played the PlayStation 1 prequel, I guess, to this storyline, and being able to, again, that judgment ring system and your main character being able to morph into different, as it says here, demonic forms was fantastic as well. I love doing that. I got to meet the English voice actress for that girl there. She's actually, I guess she's done a lot of Pokemon stuff in the past. I'll have to look that up later, but yeah, she was nice. It was fun to meet her, and the voice acting is not too bad. The gameplay is fantastic. It really got me hooked playing this game. I just loved everything about the combat. I loved the storyline. Like I said before, it kind of goes in line with real events happening in the world at the same time, so that it mixes all that JRPG goodness along with like real-time events. So it's fun. It's just a fun game.
Yep. I find it funny. Like I know this is turn-based. I played the second one and love that ring. And it says right here, presenting a unique judgment ring mechanic during its turn-based battles. And then right underneath, this was number 19 of 26 on the best PS2 action RPGs.
What?
Maybe it's so low because it wasn't an action RPG.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And this is like kind of like a dark gothic horror type vibe to it, as we've said before, and that was fun to experience that as well.
Speaking of a game fun to experience, number 14, Grandia 2. Woohoo! What a lot of Grandia fans put as the pinnacle of the series. Number 2 game for the Dreamcast. Thanks, Ranker. But this game was great. Like I replayed it recently when the ports for the Switch came out a couple of years ago. I played it, and I know the PlayStation 2 version had crashing issues back in the day with this.
Yes, and I played that version, and that was bad.
Yep. I was going to say, I was just on the RP Gamer Discord. I want to say just today or just yesterday, people were talking about it. Someone was playing it through the Switch port and whatever, and like, oh man, I remember how many times it crashed right here when I had this on the PS2, but I never had problems on the PS2. I played through this just fine. The first game really liked, and then this one, the story really got me. Loved having Elena and her dark sister version.
Yeah, that was great. Those two,
and that was. I mean, you find out about it pretty quickly, but they kept it secret a little bit. Like you'd have this party member, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go up and go to sleep," and then suddenly, like this evil woman's approaching you in a bar,
slapping you around.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't have like mine never crashed on me, but it chugged along. It struggled to say the least. But yeah, this is one of those classic "the church is bad, don't trust the church" kind of
completely. Yep.
But yeah, great storyline.
But it was a 2000 version, so maybe that hadn't been done a lot by then.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But yeah, that's one of the big RPG tropes of the evil church. Like I think Xenogears does it, Dragon Quest 7 does it, all sorts of RPGs have done it. But this even though it is a common RPG trope, this one does it in a really entertaining way. It's a great storyline the whole way through.
And the great cast of characters. I think it was funny. It had great characters. Like I said, I played it just a couple years ago again and had a blast going through it. I hate replaying games, but Grandia 1 and 2, I had a blast redoing those. Love the battle system. We've talked about it with Extreme.
Yes.
We talked about it with 3.
So good.
Yeah, really good system.
I mean, it's got to be one of the top tier battle systems in all of turn-based RPGs ever. The way they were able to build this is great.
100%. I always used to say Dragon Quest, Grandia, and Rune Factory were my top 3 series, and it's stayed there. All right, series that Pendy's talked about twice before. Here we go. We got the Willy version. We got Xenosaga Episode 1. Your Willy.
Your wills are mocked. Yeah, this is what started it all. The first in the trilogy. It's just a great story that pulls you in right away, and it's got great combat. It's one of the best things about it is also the characters. Like every single character in this game, I loved, and it was hard to choose. Like, oh, who am I going to fight with now? Because every one of them had fun ways to battle. They had fun personalities. Had really good voice acting too. I remember one of the big voice actors in it was the guy who was one of the guys that was one of the main characters in Ghost in the Shell, who's done it for decades. But it's a great game. I love most of this trilogy. I love, but the first game was a great start to the trilogy.
Nice. And we're going to hit a lot of repeats here in terms of either thematically or in series. We're getting to the big ones now. So number 12, Suikoden 3. I heard somebody just on a podcast this weekend say they were talking about ranking the Suikodens, and one guy's like, yeah, he goes, actually like 3 better than 2. Because 99% of people tell you 2's the best, but Suikoden apparently 3 was decent.
The JRPG fans with pitchforks might go after him for that. But this is a really fun one. I've actually played this one. This was the last one I played, and it's a good entry in the series. And like it says here, it's got 3 different protagonists, so you can go 3 different paths. And it's great. It's a really engrossing story, and the world is very nice. This is when it's switched into more of a 3D type world, and they did it very well. And I had a fun time exploring everything, and it's a great entry in the series. I loved it.
Yeah, Angus, I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the writer, the Suikoden writer that just passed away recently?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. It's Masuna, I think.
All right, I think this was the last one he wrote.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, which is why I think 4 kind of fell off a lot of fans' radar. And they kind of brought it back with 5 I think 5 was based on like some tales that were told in 2 or 3. They were like, we don't have him anymore, but we got some backstory that was written in the game. Let's use that backstory and build a game out of it. Because 4 kind of sucked.
4 is also a prequel, but 5 is set like I want to say it's about 100 or 200 years before the events of the first game. Because like Suikoden 4 takes place like I think it's like 200 years plus before, but it also takes place in a far off part of the world. So they kind of purposely did that, so like, well, it can exist, but it's not necessarily going to conflict with the rest of the series. But yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he did write the story for 3, but he had decided to leave Konami around that time, so they did strip his name from the credits. Because I guess that's some sort of tradition in Japan, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, he did write the 3rd game, but they had to strike his name from the credits since he was no longer part of the company. And it's kind of like if you play certain versions of Final Fantasy 1 through 6, you'll sometimes notice that Hironobu Sakaguchi's name is not present in the credits anymore.
All right, so the name was Yoshitaka Moriyama.
Moriyama, okay.
I do what I think I remember about the plot for this, which I thought was fun, is that there's a character that's like in the first 2 games, or at least the second game, that shows up to be a big part of being the antagonist of the 3rd game, which I thought was cool.
Oh, yeah, because in the 3rd game, it's Luke, I forget how you're supposed to say his name, but he's the apprentice of the famous seer. I forget her name right now, because all these characters have such crazy names.
Yeah.
But he is her apprentice, but he ends up becoming one of the main bad guys in the 3rd game. Yep. And he was one of the Stars of Destiny in the 1st and 2nd game.
Yep. It was very interesting to see that transformation and why he did that.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that his opposite that you fight in the 2nd game for a while, he ends up becoming one of the Stars of Destiny in the 3rd game. So it's kind of funny. They flip-flop roles.
And the ducks. Right. I love the race of ducks in this game. I gotta do a shout out to the ducks.
Duck people?
Yep, yes, you get the village of ducks.
I know Suikoden's always got the animal people.
Yeah.
Angus, what was the race? Was it beavers or something, the squirrels or something that people got really pissed at you on our old Facebook group about playing with?
Yeah, it was about the Flying Squirrel Squad.
That's it.
Oh man, I
Uh,
forgot. Yeah,
I remember those
and then
goofy guys.
You're welcome. Sorry to bring that one up.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. It was the time where I got called a fascist and was compared to Hitler, so it's a highlight of my life.
There you go, you know.
Because
You're
of
not
flying
living-
squirrels?
Yes, it's a whole story. So,
Okay.
You aren't living until you've been compared to Hitler. It's
Yes.
going to happen at one point or another to everybody.
I'm not going to try and say any German words because they might sound a little too authentic.
Don't read the Xenosaga's
Hey,
titles.
I was
Yeah,
gonna-
don't-
can you
yeah.
go back and read those Xenosaga titles for us that I butchered throughout the rankering?
All I got to say to that is 9.
9.
9,
We'll
9,
get-
9, 9.
We got another German game up here coming up, but not at number 11. Number 11, we have a spiritual successor to games we've talked about. Number 11 was Level 5's Rogue Galaxy.
Rogue Galaxy!
AKA
Where's Barura?
Dark Cloud in Space.
Kind of. To a
Kind of,
degree.
yeah.
Where's Barura when we need him?
Yeah. I
Oh my
know.
goodness.
So yeah, I mean, Berurian was the one who convinced me to finally play this game, and it was definitely worth the time. A lot of fun characters, a lot of fun story, same kind of, going through, exploring, fighting monsters. The weapon system was a little bit different, but you would still put in all the work to upgrade it over time, and it would change into different things.
The weapon trees are ridiculous in this game.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
But fun.
But fun. There was no rebuilding of all the towns that got blown up, but it was definitely a more invigorating story than either Dark Cloud or Dark Cloud 2. Definitely a big story and big characters with their own motivations and all that fun stuff. An
I
underrated
can definitely see
gem.
why this is rated higher here. An underrated gem, man. Hey, Rankers got it number 11.
And that's not high enough.
Oh, I played this back in the day. This was definitely like a day one purchase because it was level 5. This was after Dragon Quest 8. I'd already played the Dark Clouds. I'm like, oh my god, I was down for anything that level 5 published. And yeah, it was. You could see some of the Dark Cloud internal memory on this, but it was a total different game and just a really fun exploration and action combat.
It's also
galore.
number 16 of 25 on the list. 25 video games about pirates that will make you say "arr."
That seems way too low.
It
that
does
seems
seem
way too low.
But just the fact that there's a list, and I don't know, I feel like there would be more than 25 games out there. So the fact that it makes the list is also pretty good.
Makes me shiver my timbers.
Oh my god! So the clicking on that list of games that make you say "are" when the up and down votes, they are like aye. Not a lot of people have voted on this. You could probably make a huge difference in some of these. It's like 24 votes just randomly voted up, goes up 5 spaces. So, and we
If
could
you would
probably
like to
get rid of-
contribute to this list, please go to.
Yeah. So number 16. When we get down to 16, I'm going to click up on that one. Let's see if I can get it to move up here. There's only 7 votes on this. Well, there we go. Did it move up? It did not move up. Blue, you got to get over to that list.
I'm working on it.
Speaking of blue, there's a little blue pill you can get to help you with movement.
Ouch!
Wait, what?
Nothing. That one went.
Yeah, you just made a very good connection there, actually. If you need to move up a list, okay. But hey, look at finally a numbering system that makes sense here.
Oh, it says 16 for me. Oh wait, no, it was 16 before.
Yeah, it was 16 before. How do you get? We just put like 20% more votes. It's got to move up. Wonder if there's weighting by like you. Oh wait, it's number 14 now.
Ooh.
All right. So number 10 on our list that we started with before we got distracted by Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X coming into 10. I liked it. It was a fun game. I love the battle system more than anything. That and holy shit, what was the soccer game? Underwater soccer? Blitzball. Blitzball was awesome. Probably exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, like my favorite side game ever in a role playing game.
I distinctly remember being 51-0 in matches. Never lost a Blitzball. And I don't think I had to return or had to hit reset on anything. It was fun. The fact that I did it 51 times Yeah.
I had in the game itself. The rest of the game, the actual game, was great too. I like the characters. I like the voice acting. I like the story, even though it got weird sometimes and the ending was kind of okay, whatever. But it was still a great turn-based experience. It is on rails a little bit, but I don't mind that. I don't mind something that's like super linear like this one is. There's not like as much deep exploration as you would see in some other games, but I like both. I like both types of ways that RPGs will do that, and it was a lot of fun. And like you said, the way they did the battle system in this, where you're able to freely take people in and out, and then like they would have different strengths. Like, oh, this person can hurt the aerial enemies a lot more, and things like that. I really liked, and it was simple and fun, and yeah, it was great. It's one of my favorite Final Fantasies of all time, and unfortunately, where I fell off of Final Fantasy, because after this is when they started to steer away from turn-based. So it was basically my last hurrah with Final Fantasy as far as the main series went.
You know what this game makes me think of? There's an RPG that's not on this list because I'm sure it's not one of our top 10 at this point. What was the Lord of the Rings that game?
The
Third Age.
The Third Age.
Yes,
Okay. So we'll just take out Chrono Cross and put the Third Age there.
There you go.
I feel like that is a somewhat
legit
appropriate
spot for it.
That's a legit spot for it.
Yeah, because it's Final Fantasy X, but Lord of the Rings. It's almost exactly the same type of game.
And it was completely on rails.
Yeah,
because they had a license with the game for that Lord of the Rings game. It was they had the license from the movies, but not a license for the characters. So the plot of the game was you were following behind the Fellowship.
Yep.
And you had all the same character types. You had an elf, you had a thing, but it wasn't Gimli, it wasn't Legolas, it wasn't,
This is Gramly, and this is Legolas.
It was literally like, okay, let's copy paste Final Fantasy X's battle system and linearity. Let's copy and paste the movie plot lines and just change all the names.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. Even with even though it was copy paste of all those things, it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun, and it was multiplayer. It was multiplayer. I played this. I played this with a friend. It was one of the only turn-based RPGs I've ever played multiplayer. Played it with my roommate at the time, and we had just a fantastic time having different characters that we controlled. And we would take turns, like who's going to, progress the character on the map, and we would just alternate with that.
Gotcha. Because my fiance did aptly say that the multiplayer in the Third Age is just one step up from giving your younger sibling a controller that's not plugged in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because basically you control different characters in battle, and so player 2 inputs the things for some of the characters, and player 1 runs on the map. That was great for me as a kid, though, so I was very happy with the controller that was not plugged in. We replayed it a couple of years ago and had a really good time, but also with the lens of this is very corny and cheesy.
Oh yeah.
And the scenes are, and some of the voice acting is like very laughable, but it was in a fun way. And you do like meet up with the Fellowship characters at some point. So like you'll fight the Balrog with Gandalf and
exactly. That was, I love that part of the game too.
Yep. Distinctly remember that, yeah. But you know what? If there's a Final Fantasy X-2, so I think on Ranker we should have rank number 10-2 is Lord of the Rings: The Lost Age.
The Third Age.
The Third Age. Sorry.
I thought we already talked about putting it in more Chrono Cross.
Oh yeah, well, whatever. You're right. Where was Chrono Cross down here? Chrono Cross was...
It was like 27. No, 17.
Yeah,
17.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now, objectively, I don't know if that makes the top 17, but personally, definitely that was probably one of my top 20 PlayStation 2 games, so I'm fine with sliding it in there.
Yeah,
yep.
Do it.
All right, so there we go. Ranker, we got to see how we can add games to this later. Can we delete one?
Do it.
All right, well, Yangus, here you go. This is your moment. The reason you joined tonight. Number 9 on the list, SMT Nocturne.
With Dante from Devil May Cry.
Yangus, are you there?
Yeah, I made my noise. I went.
That doesn't sound like a very good noise, though.
Of a hairball.
Okay.
Just okay. No. No, it's a very good game. I played this one after having played Strange Journey. I definitely prefer Strange Journey, but Nocturne was a good time. I definitely liked how, unlike Strange Journey, Nocturne kind of threw you into its world after the conception happens, and it's all about trying to figure out, what exactly is going to happen to the world, what actions you take will lead to what sort of changes, and it's just a good. This is where they introduced the press turn system, and for the first time them having this system, it was pretty darn great for a very first time of using that kind of gameplay style. So very good game.
An influential one then, if that's the system that they then went forward with, and pretty much all their other games in the series after that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's definitely one too where if you bring this game up to certain people, they'll start sweating because they'll be reminded of the Matador. They might be running for the door.
Oh, you know what? Because this game came out, got ported everywhere, 2-3 years ago?
Yep.
And yep, I heard the Matador stuff.
Yeah, one of my favorite.
Luke had more problems with the last boss than Matador, if I remember correctly. The funny thing is he was playing on hard mode, so he made it to the final boss.
Gosh.
He finally beat it, and then the game crashed.
him and Twinkie, they're just like, I want to play on hard mode. It's like, guys, don't do that.
Save yourself.
Nocturne is just notorious for how difficult hard mode is, even for an Atlas game. But what was I going to say? Yeah, this is definitely one that started gaining more interest from the series for as a whole. Plus, because this was the first mainline game that we got over here. But besides that, one of my favorite memes for anything comes from this game, where there's a comic that somebody made where it's there's a knock at the door, the Demi-Fiend opens the front door, and it's the Matador standing outside with his line, "I'll challenge you to a duel." You see the Demi-Fiend slam the door shut and yell at the Pixie, who you get at the beginning of the game. It's like, "Go get the bus! Go get all the bus! Don't open the door!" It's definitely one that if you've played the game that you'll laugh at it a lot more than someone else, but it's still really funny. Because if you know, you know.
you know. Oh, so all right, so that's a good one. That is one I've got. I actually got the physical cart for the Switch. Picked that up on a Black Friday sale. I gotta play it. Angus is gonna be mad at me when I play it. I'm sure. I shouldn't talk to him about it.
It's fine. Whatever. You do what you want, baby. I won't judge you as long as you stay at the bottom of that list.
I'll get voted down again. All right, so we're here to the top 8, and I think I played 7 of these top 8. So here we go. Games that some I know I can talk more of finally. Number 8 was the one Shadow Hearts game that I played, Shadow Hearts Covenant. Take place in a World War I era Europe. I remember going behind the scenes, behind German lines and whatever, and killing something in a killing some ghost in a church that the Germans were trying to resurrect or whatever. Or in a graveyard chapel or something like that. I think I got about 15, 20 hours into it, and then just something came out. I gotta actually picture the apartment I was playing this in. So don't really remember a whole lot about the game other than that Judgment Ring mechanic. So damn good. There needs to be a Shadow Hearts collection 1, 2, 3 for modern systems. Just port the hell, make sure it works. Don't need to up-res anything. Just make sure it works. Give it to me on something modern.
I'm kind of surprised that series has not gotten some sort of re-release.
Well,
is it owned by Sony? Or
oh God, I don't know. The developer is listed as Sacknoff. Known for lots of things.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who published it, and I don't remember off the top of my head who was responsible for that series of games. But yeah, this one was fantastic. I don't remember. I can't decide if I like this one better or the first one.
It became Nautilus, but even that was shut down in 2007. They were Sacknoff up until 2002. This game didn't come out then, but it started with that Kodelka. It seems like this is all they ever did were those games.
Okay.
Oh, they had a Neo Geo Pocket Color, a couple things back in '99, but yeah, they did the Kodelka. Found out Shadow Hearts worked, and that was it.
I remember back when I played this game. I was very excited to play it, and I was at my first base, being in the Air Force in Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, and I remember I was doing radar maintenance back then, and there was a big base exercise that they were doing at another part of the base, and it had nothing to do with my work center, with what we were doing. And so we thought we were just going to be left alone, and they were going to play their war games or whatever. But because the base commander at the time said, like, hey, you know what? All these people that are doing these war game stuff, they got to work these 12-hour shifts. So we're going to make everybody work 12-hour shifts just so that you can, suffer along with everybody else. And the person who was in charge of my work center at the time, Radar Work Center, was pissed off about it. And he said, you know what? We're going to have to work 12-hour shifts for a couple of weeks for no reason because of this stupid exercise. So for, part of the time that you come into work, if you want to bring in video games or watch TV or do whatever, go ahead. And so we're like, really? Okay. So we mostly worked mid-shift doing that job. And I remember bringing my PlayStation 2 and just playing this game with headphones for hours on end during work.
Nice.
But I remember some girl who was there, one of my coworkers who wasn't really into video games and definitely not RPGs, was watching me play this every once in a while. And she's like, is this a video game or a soap opera? Because the storylines and the characters in this game would get so goofy sometimes. Like, think if you've ever played the Yakuza games with some of the side stories, goofy side stories that they do sometimes, and how over the top it would get. You would get some of this over the top character stuff in this game as well. And she would see some of that and it's like, what is going on in this goofy game? So it had that kind of goofy lightheartedness to it, along with all the dark gothic horror stuff as well. It was very interesting to have both of that throughout this game. But I really loved it. And then coincidentally, the person who plays Karen, who's the girl on the box art of this game, I'm actually going to meet the voice actress, Carrie Walgreen, at a convention tomorrow for the first time. And she was the voice actress for this character. I love what she does. She's done a lot of cool anime titles like Blood Plus and FLCL, the main characters in those series. Great voice actress, and it'll be great to see her. I tracked down a promotional poster, basically a mini poster out of a magazine for this game that has that same cover, and I'm going to have her sign that, and I was able to get it frame. I got a frame for it, so I'm going to do that. It's going to be fun. But yeah, this great game. It just, again, with that ring of power, the Judgment Ring. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So looking into it, Shadow Hearts IP is owned by Universal Entertainment Corporation. You know what they make? Pachinko devices.
Oh no.
And there was actually a 2008-2009 Shadow Hearts 2 Pachinko and a 2015 Shadow Hearts 2 Pachinko.
Oh god.
And they've put something on a Pachinko app in October 2022. But yep, this seems like that's it. They're just owned by a Pachinko maker, and
it's so
it's owned by Konami.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Probably a shadow Konami brand, like Konami, but we're just gonna call it the legally distinct Universal Entertainment Corporation. No one will know it's us.
They'll never know.
Well, Pendy, you were talking about how, Shadow Hearts had some goofy stuff in it. The next two games in the list actually have Goofy in it. Look at that transition. I actually nailed one.
I thought you were going to talk about the goofiness of some of the things that goes on in these games. But no, they do literally have Goofy. That's fair.
They literally got Goofy. So number 7 is Kingdom Hearts, and number 6 is Kingdom Hearts 2. And I played both of these. And you know what? Back in 2000, I think I played them both in 2005. I played Kingdom Hearts right before Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. And I liked both of them. I got a little annoyed right at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts. Getting off that damn island takes forever, right? Or is that the second one that it takes forever to get off the island? But I ended up liking both of them. Is it? Okay. So I ended up really liking both of them. I never touched the series again after it. I tried the GBA one that had the weird card battling and was like, nope, never again. And I couldn't tell you a damn thing about the plot. My brain is not good enough to understand the plot. I just like being Sora and beating the shit out of people with keys. And having Donald and Goofy next to me.
That GBA game is still the only one that I've ever played.
It's not even like the good version of that game.
I liked it.
Is there a good version of that game?
That's why.
Sorry, that's GBA. We'll do that ranker list another time. But 6 and 7, Kingdom Hearts side by side. After Shadow Hearts, that could have been my link right there, the Hearts trilogy here. But
Hearts and shadows are a big. Or heart must play a big part.
Oh,
Shadows.
yeah, you fight a lot
Yeah.
of shadows in Kingdom Hearts.
I've killed 1,000 of those, or keyed thousands, or whatever happens in the game, because I don't know what those are.
You're so heartless, Platty.
You
Wow.
release their hearts and they return back to their nobodies. Something.
So heartless.
Or how Donald
Kingdom
Duck would
Hearts and
break your
Kingdom
heart.
Hearts 2 were like before the stories
complex.
started to get really unhinged. So
Thanks, Nomura.
This is back when Final Fantasy was in Kingdom Hearts.
Specifically the ones Nomura worked on. All the other ones can fuck off. Is this true?
yeah, that's pretty true.
It's true, because I remember looking into that and I'm like, oh, wait, all these are just characters from the ones that he worked. Oh, I see.
So did anybody else play the Kingdom Hearts games?
Where's Drippy when we need him?
I've like backseat played them. My brother's played all of them, and I watched him play all of them.
It's like being there for a live Twitch stream.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's like Twitch, but in person.
So yeah, I mean they're good games. I don't have the patience to get good at that kind of action RPG type of thing. He does all the crazy things like level 1 runs, and
Oh,
he's a maniac. Like, you guys think I'm a maniac? He's a maniac. Although I am currently trying to get all 900 Koroks in Breath of the Wild, so your mileage may vary.
have seen you on there. Like every night I log on to Ayuden and there's Blue Star playing Breath of the Wild.
Shh, it's fine. I think I've got 625. So
you know what did I say earlier?
forward
That I
to the
didn't play a
reward.
lot of
It's well
action
worth
RPGs
killing
back
for.
in the day, but God, I played a lot of action RPGs back in the day here. So, all right. So Kingdom Hearts, you love it, you hate it. It's a series I'm sure you've heard of, and like I said, back in the day, these were good. I like Blue. I would not have the patience here 19, 20 years later to get back into these. I never gave a thought to Kingdom Hearts 3 when it came out. It was like, I've set that side of my life. It's done.
yeah, that's what happens when you wait 15 years between mainline releases.
Yeah.
But there's so many spin-offs to play that don't complicate things at all.
You can raise Pokemon in one of them.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, here we are. Top five. Yangus, I think this might be, well, we got other good ones too. But number 5 here, SMT, as they still called it back then, Persona 3.
It's the only one that I liked.
What did you like about Persona 3?
I've already talked about that in another podcast, but basically I just liked how this game handled its overall plot and its character stuff versus what the later games started to do. So I talked about it more in another episode, so I'm not going to really go too much into it, but I just really liked how this game was a spin-off of it, but it still felt like it had some of those Shin Megami Tensei elements to it, more so than some of the later entries, but yeah. It's a good time, though. This is the one that I would recommend to people.
Well, it's the newest one to be ported, remade. Actually, it got a full remake in Persona 3 Reload, and it's got the FES content coming later this summer, I believe.
Yeah, I think
as
so.
A
or in the fall
DLC,
or something.
yeah. In the fall, yeah. It's something like September, October, yeah.
Yeah.
But I played this as I was driving around, as when I met Yangus in person for the first time 2 summers ago. When I was driving around, this is what I brought with me, the portable version, and really had a good time with it. I cannot go as far as Yangus and say it's my favorite Persona, but I would say it's my second favorite that I've played.
Saying it's my favorite's a bit of a stretch. I said I liked it. It's not my favorite.
Well, your favorite Persona. We can say that, right?
Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Say what you want to ask.
Like you said, it's the only one you like, so there you go. By default, it's got to be your favorite.
Yeah,
all right, but yeah, there you go. All right, that we grudgingly got that out of him. Blue,
it's got my favorite character from the series, Shinjiro. And I'm sad that they didn't change stuff for him in the remake, but whatever. I get why, but still.
What people don't get why is they didn't take the is it the female protagonist and bring her forward into any version of this.
That is such a hot button topic for some people. It's hilarious at this point. Me personally, I don't really care. Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't have the option, but whatever. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I played this once. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to go play 60, 70 hours again to go through the story with a female protagonist.
Yeah.
So they do change a lot of the. I forget what it's.
The social links?
The social links, yes. They change a lot of them for the female protagonist. I have not played it with the female protagonist either. That is on my list of things to do eventually in the portable version. I
really enjoyed her on, what's the Persona Q2? Yep. I kept her in my party quite a bit. But
yeah, they're weird about that. About that female protagonist, and I don't quite get why, but whatever.
Somebody somewhere's got a bug up their butt.
Yeah.
But, all right. Hey, look at number 4. It's the game we all came here for.
Yay!
Blue Star, you can introduce it.
It's Dragon Quest VIII Journey of the Cursed King, aka the best game of all time, according to me.
This game is awful. Why is this game on this list?
No!
I don't get it.
I've never heard of this game before.
This is the worst game ever.
Quest? I thought we were talking about Dairy Queen.
Well, Dairy Queen 8.
Is
the real Blizzard.
Yeah, the real Blizzard, yeah.
Every game
Journey of the Cursed Blizzard.
Every one of these is the same thing. It's whatever. It's horrible.
Just a bunch of grinding.
I know, right?
You want to see the disrespect for this game. It's number 4 here. It is number 780 on the best video games of all time. 780. I mean, I understand there's a lot of Marios and Zeldas ahead of it if we're talking every video game and GTAs and whatever that people would vote. But, ouch.
It's
780.
also 97 on every major RPG video game ranked.
Oh, God. I see that, too. That's rough.
And it's number 2 on every Dragon Quest 100. Game ranked best to worst.
But it's, I do, in all seriousness, I do take umbrage with the fact that it's 4. It should at least be 1 or 2 on this list.
I would put it there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when we get to what number 1 is. Yeah.
I think I'm the only person that likes what number 1 is, but we'll get to that one.
I at least understand number 1. The other games ahead of it, I'm not as much, especially number 2. But then again, I haven't played number 2, so I can't talk that much. But I mean, it's Dragon Quest VIII. It's one of the best games in the whole damn series, and they brought it into the 3D realm, and we got to see the glory of Akira Toriyama, R.A.P., rest in peace, his art in full view in that game finally. And oh my God, the characters are great. Just everything about this game is so great. I know there's entire podcasts that we've done on it, just this game. But man, just everything about this is so fantastic and fun.
Okay, we can cancel Pendy.
We may be a little biased. We may be a little biased on this podcast about it, but still, it is one of the best RPGs of all time. Come on.
It's all right. That's okay. It's fun.
What a coincidence that there's a Yangus in the game and your name is Yangus.
I know.
Look, man. Somebody stole my birth name, and I want to know who did it. Somebody at Square Enix found my birth certificate, and they're like, "Dude, this would be a great name for our character, man." I want to find out who did it.
They made him a bandit.
Yeah, you know how that much has besmirched my name? It's ridiculous. I can't even get my businesses off the ground, man. I'm trying to be an important exporter, but I can't do it.
But wait,
can't get that line of credit.
But you call yourself Yangus the Legendary Bandit.
Yeah, you haven't been paying attention. That's my name. They stole my name.
They even stole his catchphrase, Core Blimey.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
Yeah, all the time. He said it at least for 20 of the games that we've listed today.
Yes. I thought he was saying that because Yangus in the game was a bandit, he was struggling, but he's a bandit. It's his name.
Yeah, no, they besmirched my name, though. They called me a bandit IRL in the game. You're looking too deeply into this, Blue. I don't know why you find this so hard to understand.
Moving up our list.
One more thing I just wanted to add for this is one of the things that I love. One of my core memories about this game was we were able to get the Dragon Quest VIII PlayStation 2 Slime controller in the States to be able to buy it. We didn't have to import it. They actually had it here for sale, and I bought it, and I distinctly remember using that slime controller to play through the entire game. It was uncomfortable as all hell, but I loved it.
My God, that's like its own draconian challenge before there were draconian challenges.
Yes, the unwieldy blue slime upside down in my hands, using that as a PS2 controller, and even though it was awkward, I loved it, and I did the whole game playing with that controller. I still have it.
We're jiggling that slime's getting jiggy with the slime there.
You got to experience the poof before you even got to that part of the game.
All right, well, moving up the list, a game that I really liked but was not Yangus's favorite. Number 3 was Persona 4.
I liked this one too.
This is my favorite Persona. This is my favorite Persona.
You get to play Scooby-Doo gang out in the sticks and solve a big mystery.
Yep. I think that's what I like. It's not in a town. It's not crazy. It's just like, slow suburbs, or not even suburbs. It's, rural.
It's like out in the sticks. And it's funny because a lot of the times the characters are talking about like, whoa, that happens. And my brother and I were just laughing like these guys are all such icks.
But no, I loved the connections between the characters. I like the family that you're living with, even though the little girl watches way too much TV, and the dad's like never there. But I love Teddy. Unabashedly, unironically, I love Teddy and the puns.
God, what's wrong with you? It's fucking annoying.
There's many things.
So
vote me down on Ranker.
I have a love-hate relationship with Teddy because on the one hand, Sam Riegel does an amazing job voicing him to the point where like you can't even really recognize that it's him. And he is lovable, but yes, he is also annoying, especially when he inexplicably comes out of the TV and blends in.
But he's so handsome.
Yeah, and he's also a creeper.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. But, we're judging him by human standards, and he's not human.
Fine.
But, yes, I'm a big Teddy fan. And now, to be fair, I played the golden version on, I never played the PlayStation 2 version, but...
Same.
Good game is a good game. Maybe better on Vita. But, moving on up, a game that did not get ported to Vita. Here's where we're going to be. I think we're going to kind of like, Yangus already pieced out here at Persona 4 at number 3. But number 2 is Suikoden 5.
This is one that I really want to play, but it's so hard to find a copy of it that's not overly expensive.
That's too bad.
Maybe if they ever get that 1 and 2 port out.
Yeah, what the hell ever happened to that? It just kind of disappeared.
Apparently still coming out, but yeah, it keeps getting delayed. It's weird.
I thought they were going to get
nothing about it. It's crazy for a long time.
I thought they were definitely waiting for, to release it maybe a month before the Ayuden.
Well, that was the big theory too, Platty, that's what they were doing. But it's kind of joined Dragon Quest 3 HD at this point, where it's just like, it's kind of just off in the ether and no one knows what's happened to it.
Yeah, because they were going to redo the art, right? Isn't that one of the things? Like someone was coming back to redo the art?
Yeah, they brought back the original artist of the first game to redo all the character portraits, and they posted a ton of them too. So it's not like it's
not that they're waiting on.
So I don't know. It's weird.
It's a PlayStation 1 game. Wait, what the heck? How hard is it to bring that up to code?
Though. I mean, they screwed up that Metal Gear Solid collection that they released a while back. So I mean, yeah. So who knows? But I've heard a lot of good things about 5. A lot of people say, it's one, it's cool that they brought back some characters that are from other games as well as party members. Like, what is it? There's the mematic badass that is George Prime, who comes back as like actually one of the major characters in the 5th game. You get him like late in the game in the 2nd one. So everybody was like, "Oh, it's George." The character only showed up for 5 minutes, but everybody loved him. But yeah, no, I've heard a lot of good things about this particular entry, so I hope someday it also gets a re-release because I'd love to pay it or play it and not have to pay like $200.
So we get in $500.
Is that what it is right now? Oh my god!
Oh, I have no idea, but no, I know those games. The Suikodens are Suikoden 2.
Yeah.
Has that reached $1,000 yet or something like that?
Yeah, it's weird because Konami they re-released a bunch of the games on the PS3's digital storefront, like even the PS2 games. But for some reason, they never went ahead and did one with 5 as well. And it's probably because, from my understanding, it was such a late game in the PS2's lifespan that they did not make a whole lot of copies, so it didn't sell very well. They didn't advertise it very well either. So it was kind of one of those ones that if you knew it and you played it, then you loved it. But most people are like, there's a 5th Suikoden game?
And it came out after 4, the clunker. So
yeah, so it's weird. This poor series just had such a weird history.
And this game came out in the same year as it got overshadowed by the number 1 game on the list. This son of a bitch game.
Ooh. Ooh.
God, it hurts me to say it. I don't want to say it. Penny, you just do it.
Final Fantasy 12.
Woo!
The beginning,
just like games that play themselves.
Like
the beginning of the end of turn-based Final Fantasy. After 11, which wasn't really 11, they're just like, hey, let's call this Final Fantasy.
Yep, MMO
and then ORPG. But then they actually made an actual sequel, and it was 12. Sad.
And that's the end of our show tonight.
I
mean, I will admit I was interested in this game after I got because the demo for this came with Dragon Quest VIII, right?
I was gonna say here someone's gonna mention the demo disc.
Yep.
So the demo disc for this came with Dragon Quest VIII. Okay, great cross promotion, Square Enix. You're together now. Put your 2 titles together. What a great way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people bought Dragon Quest VIII just for this, and hopefully they love Dragon Quest VIII. But it interested me enough that I bought it, and I was like, oh, well, I'll buy that. And then this thing took me 4 or 5 months to beat because I was just completely like, it didn't get me. I'm like, there's too much to do. Like, I would love doing a bunch of quests. I mean, I did a lot of side quests in Dragon Quest IX. I do a lot of side quests elsewhere, but this one I was like, I don't want to just keep hunting stuff. And like, I feel like there was no fast travel. It just took forever to walk around the world. And I guess what the big selling point of this was like, battles don't break away and go into a different screen. Like, your battles happen right as you're walking around.
Real time.
And more enemies. Yep. And more enemies can come in. I will say I loved the sphere grid for this. Loved picking skills and everything. I was talking last night on another podcast and mentioned that the Ayuden Chronicle, one of the things I really liked was the building the castle in Ayuden Chronicle is a lot like a sphere grid, and that's one of the things I liked from this. And was that in Final Fantasy X as well?
Final Fantasy X had the sphere grid. This one had the job class license board.
But the license
it was kind of like
similar, right?
So,
yeah.
Similar ideas.
Making the connections, and you can go down this path or go down this path. Heck, Dragon Quest XI had that basically. So I like that kind of skill tree branching on all directions.
Yeah.
But man, where it got me, and honestly, okay, I get it. It was a good idea, possibly, but you're only controlling one character. Everybody else you can have on gambits, and gambits are basically code. It was coding. If greater than 20 health, attack. If this, then do this. If poisoned, using this, You could set up all these things, and as the game progressed, you got even more and more and more, so that you could code your players to do better. And the story I tell all the time is, I think what really lost me on the game was playing it on Halloween one night. Playing it on Halloween, doorbell ring, I'd put down the controller, I'd go, there'd be kids there for a couple minutes, get a bunch of kids, come back, like, oh, look, I gained a level, because I had all my gambits set, and I didn't even need to play the game. I could just set it down, and for a few minutes, different enemies would just keep coming in, and the battles could last a while, and if you just put down the controller, it could play itself for a while. And screw this game because of it.
I remember you start in the desert, and after many, many hours, you get to still be in the desert.
Yep.
So,
if you love sand, if your name is not Anakin Skywalker, this is the game for you.
However, the other thing about the story is that it also very closely resembles that of Star Wars.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, back in the day, like I was on the Den in 2006 when this came out, and I did not read a lot of video game stuff. And there wasn't social media, so I mean, the Den was my social media in 2006, and I think after a while, I was like, "Hey guys, I think this is basically this is basically Star Wars, but like in sand in Final Fantasy. Everybody's like, yeah. You're like the billionth person to notice that. Like, okay.
Okay, to play devil's advocate, that's not. I mean, there are similarities, but it's not entirely true because your main character Vaughn is not like Luke Skywalker. He doesn't get a mentor like Obi-Wan Kenobi, nor does he have like the best similarity would be like Fran and Balthair being like Han Solo and Chewbacca, but that's about the only real one. I guess you also have the princess who's kind of like that, but she doesn't necessarily have the whole I have to protect my empire thing. She's more I'm trying to make sure that I don't fucking die.
I'll be honest. I remember absolutely none of this. Like, I do remember having that connection way back in the day, but I couldn't tell you why. Yeah,
I
I'm
totally
sure
get
it is way less tenuous than I remember. And
I
it's more
totally
like
get
you
where
said.
you're coming from, though, and I totally see where people make that assumption and stuff, and where they make that comment. But having played the game for quite a bit myself, it's like, yeah, there's really not. I mean, I can see it, but there's really not as many similarities as I was led to believe. Like really, the party does not give a shit about Vaughn at all. Like he just is kind of there to be like the bouncing board for Ash or Aish, or however you say her name. She's pretty much the main character because the story is more so about like her and Balthier trying to help liberate the country from the control of the I forget the name of that empire, but it's the ones that have the judges that come in.
I will give it this. Doesn't this have a Dragon Quest sword that you can get at some point in the game?
I believe so.
Like a post-game weapon you can get, I believe.
I think so.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
homage.
Yeah, I know this one, and then actually Nier Automata has that too, where you can get a Dragon Quest related sword, and actually in a Dragon Quest looking chest.
Oh, I didn't know about Nier. That's cool.
Yeah, I think it was something where it's either if you played the demo or if you didn't play the demo, you just had to do something specific in game, and then you'd come across like this special chest that would look like a Dragon Quest chest from like kind of the ones how they look in Dragon Quest 11 specifically, since that was in development at the time. But yeah it was cool little Easter egg. But for this game itself, I personally like Final Fantasy 12. It's not one of my top favorites or anything like that, but I've enjoyed my time playing with the game. It's definitely more of a slow burner kind of game, but I've enjoyed just like exploring around in the world, hunting down the monsters for like the Hunters Guild that they have, which is led by actually a legacy character from one of the Final Fantasy Tactics games, a little Moogle. I forget.
I was going to say, isn't it in this Ivalice?
Yes.
Isn't that where Final Fantasy Tactics?
Yep, it takes place in the world of Ivalice, and it takes place like I don't remember how many years ahead of the actual Tactics games, but it takes place a long time before the events of those games, or like Vagrant Story, because by the time I guess those games happen, a lot of the locations that would have been in that particular part of the world have either long since disappeared because of the passage of time, or they've changed names entirely. I forget exactly how, but it's very interesting when you get reading into it and how they crafted this whole. And it's crazy too because the guy who came up with the world of Ivalice, he's the one that created the Tactics Ogre series, and he wanted to work with Square Enix. Well, after he talked with Hironobu Sakaguchi, that's when he was able to create Final Fantasy Tactics. One thing led to another, and eventually when it came time to make a new Final Fantasy game, they approached him and were like, hey, do you want to make that? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll put it set in the world of Ivalice, like way before the time of these ones.
Nice.
So it's definitely not a gameplay style for everybody. And, people don't like how this one plays. I totally get it. But I find this to be a very kind of relaxing game to get into because you can just kind of set stuff up, watch your characters go. And if you're like me and you like seeing your little job class meters and stuff like keep building up so you keep unlocking more and more stuff, you have a grand old time, especially with the re-releases like the Zodiac Age, because if you have a job class that you're not necessarily that big of a fan of, you can go back and swap it out for something else if you like, kind of, because like what's one that I tried? Like I tried one that's like the Machinist where like you use guns and stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I went back to and changed it at I believe it's the Hunters Guild you can change it at. And you can like completely rework how your points work and everything. So I think that's really cool that in the re-release that they were like, hey, you know what? If you like this, but you weren't necessarily a fan of this part, hey, you can get rid of that and start over with this new, entirely new setup. So yeah.
Oh, I found it. It's a Worm Hero Blade, and it's based off Erdrick's sword.
Okay. But yeah. I like this game, but I totally get why some people are just like, ugh. Gotta give a shout out
That's
to
all
my
right.
boy.
Yeah.
Like WORM word?
No, it's
no,
Worm like
W-
WYRM.
Yeah.
WYRM.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes way more sense.
Oh my god, Blue. Fucking love
Oh,
worms.
Oh yeah, looking at that blade, that is I can
Yep.
see where that came from.
Yep. Also got to give a shout out to my boy Hitoshi Sakamoto. He made a damn good soundtrack with this game, both in the original PS2 version and the remake, where they completely orchestrated all the soundtrack.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm.
Fucking great. I love how they updated the Song of the Empire in particular. It sounds so good.
All right, so looking at the top 5 here on Ranker and our disagreements with some of these top 2, we're not the only ones, and we're not the only Ranker that disagrees with this. What's funny is all 5 of these are listed in the top every RPG ever list on Ranker. So let me read you some numbers here. Final Fantasy XII, it ranked number 1 on this list. It's 105 on the every RPG list.
Mm-hmm.
Suikoden 5, who was number 2, was way down at 217 on the every list. Persona 4, number 3, on the every RPG list, 170. This makes our Dragon Quest VIII disagreement really great, because Dragon Quest VIII was 4 on this list. It's the only one to crack the top 100 on the every RPG list.
Hey!
There we go.
And then Persona 3 at number 5 is way down at 251 on the every RPG list. So if we took the every RPG list and put these into it, it would have been Dragon Quest VIII at number 1, Final Fantasy 12 at number 2, Persona 4 at number 3, Suikoden 5 at number 4, and Persona 3. So at number 5, that's there's some wild swings on this website.
Yep.
But hey, it's fun to talk about and argue about and call people stupid over putting Chrono Cross on there.
Yeah,
we fixed that.
Why
We fixed
is
that
that? Why is that on the list? I really want
Yeah,
to
when
know.
somebody mentioned that, I was like, oh man, I haven't looked at all. I wonder how many are on this list. Nope, that was the only one.
That's so weird. It's not even.
It's not like they put in half a dozen of them in there, but
Look,
maybe they panicked. They're like, we need it to be 65 plus.
there
Chrono
you go. There
Cross.
was, yeah.
We got 66 now. Now our name is true. It's good. It's good.
Gotta have
dropped
plus.
the ball.
But yeah, this was fun. Thanks for going through the list with me, guys and girl. This is
Yes. There are the notes. I have nothing to say. They are blank.
There's not much here at the end, but
There's a bunch of ellipses.
I'm supposed to say whatever.
Whatever.
yes,
I will say
Whatever.
whatever as well.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I forgot to get my phrase in there. This is it for our PS2 RPG Slime Time side quest. Hopefully this made you all nostalgic for those turn of the millennium days.
Ellipses, 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 ellipses.
There you go. Got to spell that. So Matt Kraft couldn't make it tonight. He wanted to be here. If he gets me some audio, which he said you can enjoy that right after the ending. We'll throw it in here at the end.
For every single game, he's going to go over.
Yeah, he's going to have 65 of them. 66.
65 plus.
So if you see,
He's
if
gonna
you're
talk
looking
about the
down and
Evercade
you're like,
again.
man, I've been listening to you guys for 2 hours, but it seems like it's going to go another hour. That's why. Enjoy Matt Kraft's take on the PlayStation 2.
If you
But,
enjoyed
in
his
the meantime-
Evercade talk from the last episode, you'll love it when he brings it up again.
Does Evercade play PlayStation 2? I don't know.
Yes, yeah. The games on the Evercade that were also on PS2 list. Here we go.
Well, as I like to remind people often, we don't crowdsource or dynamically insert ads that you all don't give two shits about. We're grown-ass adults. We like to talk about video games and other topics that we enjoy. We don't need a dime of your money to do so. If you do like to contribute to Dragon Quest fandom, feel free to head on over to the Dragon's Den, donate some money to Woodus, who's paid to keep those lights on for decades, or use one of his affiliate links. You can buy Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest Monsters 3, quite literally anything else. Through his Amazon affiliate links, and he'll get like 2 cents or something like that. But other than like that, bye everyone.
Sidequest complete. Do I have to say it 65 times? Since we had 65 games.
65 plus times.
All right.
Oh wait, you don't have to say it to
Sidequest
66.
complete.
That's not really.
Okay, I'm going to say it really fast 65 more times. All right. Sidequest
All right.
complete. Sidequest complete.
This is Goochtrude for Slime Time, reminding you all that you must complete your adventure.